Oh, back at it again with that list. Did that work? Was that all right?
That was great.
Yeah. Not bad for 1 second of thought. Welcome back to Funbearable, the podcast you're watching or listening to right now.
Yes.
My name is Ray Harrington.
I'm Brad Rohr.
And I'm Chuck Staten.
And we're here to close out the year of list, right? We're closing out.
Sorry, real quick. Back at it again with that list.
Yeah.
Is the subtitle of a film I'm pitching.
Oh, no.
Schindler's List 2.
Oh, okay. I got it. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, he's back at it again with the list, you see.
Well, I was pitching a sequel as well to Columbine. Back at it again with that list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Feels like both of us are wading into dangerous territory here.
Yeah. How do we back out of this?
So we're here with part 2 of the Brammies, the Chammies, and the R-Hammies.
Don't point at me when you say that.
So
Ron Ham, everybody.
we're doing our favorite stuff from 2022. We've been closing the Chuck and Brad podcast with this for many years, and this is the first year we're closing the year of 2022 with Funbearable and our favorite stuff. Episode 1, we did games, we talked about podcasts, restaurants, and a big discussion about movies.
Yeah.
And this week we're going to do books, music, TV, and personal stuff.
Yes.
And I'm very excited to jump right into it.
I am as well, Ray.
I can't wait to get to the personal stuff.
Me too.
I got some things to say.
I got
Right.
some things to say, and you're not.
I
gonna
should have clarified.
I'm just ready to listen.
Oh, that's you know what? That's in the list. That's in the list right here. All ears roar.
All ears roar.
Nobody has ever accused me of that. Feels good. Not going to lie. Feels good. Our first category is books. Now,
Books.
I read a lot. And I don't...
I'm so sorry. I have
okay.
to cut you off because it's just bouncing around inside my head like a fucking pinball.
That's how I felt about that back at it again with the list.
Yeah. All right. So you said all ears roar. Feels
Yes.
good to be. Nobody's described me that way.
Right.
And all that was bouncing around in my head was a woman did describe your lovemaking as he's all ears.
Touch it.
All right. Now I'm done. The
Is that
pinball
an
has
ear?
gone down the chute. Yeah.
I'm ears all the way down, baby.
He read one article one time that was like, ears are a central part of the body. And
so I'm like-
he's rubbing his ear on, like going up the thigh, like,
Oh, no, it's straight ear to ear for me.
ew. Oh, that suction sound. Oh,
Smiles ear to ear.
from ear to here.
FetLife.com. FetLife.com, search ears. Nothing again.
Oh, just me again.
All right, I'm so
Books,
sorry.
I read a lot.
Yes.
And I'm
And,
gonna give the quick thing that one of the things that has happened in my life over the past many years I've
You
given
learn to read.
is
Lost the ability to.
a lot of the habits I used to have alone have kind of gone away as I've worked more towards having my own company, my own production company, because I feel guilty. So I don't do as much solo video game playing as I used to. I don't do as much reading as I used to do. So I don't have that much book stuff.
I think last year I said that Chuck and I together read over 80 books, and I think I read 78 of them.
That's fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
This year I read 77 books, and really made it a point to read books by women who are authors. And in the world of science
Try to read
fiction,
books
by women who
that
are painters.
not-
Yeah.
authors who are women. I think I got to 36 of the 77 books were written by women, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Because
and then you said enough.
yeah, I was done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt good of making it a point to be this much more diverse in kind of
Yeah.
what I am reading. Ray, I don't know a ton about your reading habits other than we talked about the Great Lord Bird, the Good Lord Bird.
Yeah, we
as a
talked
book
about that.
you have read.
Yeah.
So I don't know what your reading habits are.
My reading habits, I used to read books a lot more.
Yeah.
And then my reading habits, because I always read at night before I go to bed,
Right.
or when I'm in bed before I fall asleep. It's part of my insomnia ritual.
Yes.
And that's where I do most of my reading.
Got it.
And part of my insomnia ritual is comic books, because
Yes.
it allows me to just read a certain amount. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
I can get to a place, and with a novel or a nonfiction book, I can often just be like, keep going.
Yeah.
You know. So my book count is far lower than it used to be. It used
Right.
to be like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Close to your area, right? And now, sadly, I'm sliding towards the Chuck area. So I think I'm in the middle.
All right.
I'm in the middle of that.
Good.
Yeah. I got some books here.
Excellent.
I also did add comic book categories.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I started with favorite nonfiction, and I read this book because of a tweet by Chuck's pal Mike Birbiglia. He said, "Hey, I read this book and I loved it. It's The Anthropocene Reviewed. It's written by John Green, and it's just reviewing different things in culture, kind of tongue in cheek of like, I'm going to review Diet Dr Pepper, and
okay.
how it's a miracle that we created this flavor of Dr Pepper."
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not a natural flavor. That doesn't occur in nature. There's not
Right,
a
yeah.
bird or a berry or a leaf that tastes like Dr. Pepper.
Yet.
And then we said, we want to take the calories out of it. And
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's like this weird crowning achievement for humanity. So a lot of stuff like that. Really enjoyable book. Just short-ish essays about different things that John Green is interested in reviewing. So
I like that,
enjoyed
yeah.
it. Props to Mike Birbiglia for mentioning it. Chuck, so next time you guys hang out and go out for pizza,
Yeah.
mention it.
I'll tell him.
I got to say, it is wild, because I'm picturing what the viewer sees that you're doing right now, Chuck. You stick your hand under the table
Yep.
and are pulling up something and putting it in your mouth, and the thing is like, I think it looks like meat.
I was just finishing my bacon jerky.
Yeah, you were having some bacon
But I
jerky.
didn't want the wrinkling.
Yeah.
I didn't want that.
Well,
so
it
I
was
went,
still happening.
well, it's under here. You can't
I
hear
know,
that.
but it was funny to see you just be like,
Yep.
it's salty. Sorry.
I looked at myself on the camera from when we filmed on Tuesday, and I was like, I got to starve myself. I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah,
and so
well,
I
welcome
have.
to my everyday.
I was
Come
like,
on.
I was like, God damn.
I'm
So
constantly adjusting.
all I'm doing
while
is
I'm here.
protein. All I'm doing is protein.
I'm just not looking at cameras.
Clever girl.
Thank you.
So I got nothing for nonfiction. I didn't read. I only read one book this year, so it will show up in my category.
Good.
And I'll let you know when.
All right, thank
Don't
you.
pressure me.
All right, I'm not.
My favorite nonfiction was The 90s by Chuck Klosterman.
Good.
I want to read that.
Yeah, it's a great book. I love Chuck Klosterman. Basically, if Chuck Klosterman's releasing a book, I will be reading
Right.
that book.
Me too. That's how I was with him for a long time.
Yeah, I love him.
Me too.
And The 90s is great. I like that he opens the book with like, hey, there was a book, I believe, on the 60s, or it might have been the 70s, that was written by this author to try and encapsulate it, what it was genuinely.
Right.
And the feeling of it, not what we see in movies and television, but just like the real thing. And I was really impressed with this book because that's what he does. And I love Klosterman's writing.
Yes.
He's so just like, he pulls you in and keeps you there. And his ability to go on and on about something, like he loves basketball, so he
Yes.
will often have chapters on basketball in
Right.
his books. I don't give a shit. I read them all,
Yeah.
and I enjoy them, and I like them, and I understand them.
Yeah.
So him tackling all of the 90s,
Right.
great. And I was talking to Kalina, my wife, about this, and she was really interested in it. So I got her the book as well. And because I'm not giving up my copy.
I was thinking that.
No, I got it digitally,
Yeah.
and then I bought her a physical copy. And she loved the book as well, and it's fantastic. And I
Yeah.
really like I love Klosterman's approach to pop culture and breaking it down and looking at different aspects of it. So his topics were great, like reading about what it meant to have a Garth Brooks at that time.
Interesting.
Was fascinating.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about it like, yeah, country was a side thing.
Right.
Country was a sideshow to the circus. People did not see it as a thing. And then Garth Brooks came along, during a period of time in the 90s when it was like Gen X and we're over it,
Right.
and to be in any way commercial was seen as a sin.
Yes.
And then Garth Brooks was the biggest musician, and it was huge.
Right.
Is very interesting, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and why that happened was really interesting to read about. Talking about so many different aspects of the 90s, the politics of it, film and television, all the pop culture, music, everything, sports. There's a whole thing about Michael Jordan that's great.
Yeah.
I can't recommend the book enough. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Next category was Best Comedy Book. I went with How to Be Perfect, The Correct Answer to Every Moral Question by Michael Schur. Really an examination of philosophy in as much as it, and helped by examples from The Good Place or The Office.
I was just going to say Michael Schur is a creator of The Good Place, right?
Yes.
And he was
He worked for Greg Daniels on The Office.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think he spun off Parks and Rec.
Yes.
Yes.
On his own. So,
Yep.
I mean, obviously not on his own. It's all the team effort. But the book, walks through the bigger schools of philosophy and kind of why we're here and why we do the things we do in a way that is much more accessible than you would see in a classically thought of philosophy textbook.
I'm intrigued.
Oh, yeah, it's
and I
really
would like
cool.
to read your newsletter.
All right.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it's
I
good
like
stuff.
this.
He was on Conan. He did a big talk about it, and I found it to be.
I don't watch that show.
I found it to be well. He was on the podcast, and I found it to be really interesting because he comes from a very woke place, which is a lot of the ways that I align. And then sometimes people get like a little bit crazy about that kind of stuff. And he had this point where he's like, one of the things I think is that you have to urge people to stop applying the values of today to what happened previously.
Right.
Because even the things, even the people who are the most progressive today, when you look at the things they say and do in 50 years, it will be looked at in the same way that if we're looking back decades and decades.
Sure,
And
yeah.
I think that that's really interesting and a smart way to approach that kind of stuff. But I was really interested in the book too. They had a great talk about it on the podcast.
Good stuff.
That's great. Do you have a physical copy of this book?
I do, but it's signed. So if
you don't
could,
wanna lend it,
if
yeah.
you could just
No.
not spill coffee on it.
I don't want to have the responsibility of a signed copy when I can get one without that
I
responsibility.
got to.
I'll sign one for you too.
Yeah, you got to
signed all of
you
your
got you got to pick the inscription, and I asked him to write, "I will always believe in you,"
Oh, I like
and
that. Yeah.
so I'm like,
Yeah.
hey guys, Michael Schur always
That's fun.
believes in me.
Read by Chuck Staten.
Yeah. Planned on being read by Chuck Staten.
I used to just do the last page when I finished it, but then I was like, it takes so much time.
Yeah, I really like the tongue out, and
Just Chuck Staten stopped here.
the signature is terrible. Right? Is that a cue? What a... I'm sorry, but yeah, no, that's I want to read that.
It's a good book.
I don't have a comedy.
Okay.
I guess I broke it down. I just have nonfiction and fiction, and I have comic books. So I'll throw in a comic book one.
Sure. Yeah.
My favorite of the big two,
Right.
DC Marvel, current run, like within the these are part of the ongoing for the big characters
Right.
we know.
Right.
Was Daredevil.
Really?
Yeah, Daredevil's run, specifically Chip Zdarsky's run on Daredevil, which he just wrapped up in a bigger. It's like a minor crossover event.
Okay.
Called Devil's Reign. That was Kingpin, and it was great. Pulled in a lot of characters in an interesting way because he kept it grounded. It's not like this is Secret Wars or
Right.
Endgame level.
Yeah.
This is a big crossover event with the characters that are known for being smaller world stuff.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But Iron Man shows up, Spider-Man, but it's not like this is a big world ending thing. It's like we got to save this city.
Right, sure.
And I really enjoyed that. And I'm a big fan of Chip Zdarsky anyway, but the run for this was really interesting. And Daredevil is essentially responsible for the death of somebody. And Matt Murdock is like, yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
I'm responsible. I'm going to serve time
Yeah, you were telling me about
as
this.
Daredevil.
Wow.
And he, because he's a great lawyer,
Yep.
comes up with a way to legally go in with his identity protected, wearing essentially like a handkerchief over his face,
Yep.
and go to prison. And it created a very interesting new place to play.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. I think often Daredevil can get so bogged down in self-loathing and just be very morose and just blah,
Right.
just gray clouds. And I think Zdarsky balances that well. We got to see Elektra take over the mantle as Daredevil, which I thought was really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was a great reset for the character after Devil's Reign, where he's essentially like, I'm going to go be Daredevil, but not for the city. I'm going to figure shit out.
Yeah.
And I really like it.
That's great.
So,
Yeah, very cool.
Daredevil run was great.
Nice. I have a favorite graphic novel, which for me was The Last Ronin, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection.
That's the same graphic novel I have as my favorite graphic novel.
Perfect. Wow, we agree.
Yeah, I loved The Last Ronin. It's just like, I don't know if you know really what happened behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Where Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird split up. Then the documentary Toys That Made Us brought them back together.
Yeah.
And they came back and they're like, let's just make the stuff that we originally made. So it's this very dark,
Oh, yeah.
very gritty future where 3 of the Ninja Turtles and Splinter are dead. And you have 1 turtle left. They have a black bandana. You don't know who it is. And he's coming to get revenge on Shredder. And Shredder has basically won. It's really, really well done and very gritty and serious and really cool.
Yeah, some real Escape from New York vibes.
Very, very Escape from New York.
Oh, yeah.
And New York is all walled off.
Yep.
But it got like a ton of like attention and awards, and it was much more popular than they had predicted, which I don't know if you know about this. The graphic novel hardcover version was on pre-order, and so many people pre-ordered it that it was on back order for like 4 months.
Wow.
Because they couldn't fulfill orders for it.
That's great.
But it was really well respected and really cool because I don't have that much of a history with Ninja Turtle comic books, but this is a really cool way to re-engage with that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
just the stories that you made up when you would.
yeah.
Oh, then Michelangelo said, wow, Chuck's cooler than me. And Donatello said, wow, Chuck is smarter than me.
Yeah, and now Chuck's memory is blending the two, and he's like, they wrote a lot of comics about a lot of fucking April O'Neil. It was so weird. Just constantly banging away at April.
Yeah.
One day I want to talk about on Funbearable that when I was a kid, I did write into Playmates with my suggestions for Ninja Turtle toys and drew them and stuff.
Oh, so I heard Playmates. And I thought the other kind of Playmates. No. That's a different letter. Imagine a child. Dear Penthouse.
Yes.
I never thought it would happen to me.
My name is
Kyle, 11-year-old boy. There I was.
Dear Penthouse, they say I'm going to grow up real horny.
I like this idea of this character being like, oh my gosh, I'm so precocious. I never knew it would happen to me.
So precocious.
Thank you for assisting Child Protective Services, Mr. Guccione.
I have to write all the descriptions of the Tuesdays with Stories episodes every week, and I'm getting more and more like sarcastic. And I wrote like Mark Norman tries to cross the border with mushrooms. He's incorrigible. Like I'll put stuff
That's
in
fun.
that.
That is fun, yeah.
I think it's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that because it's like an aunt writing BuzzFeed headlines.
Yeah.
I really like this 11-year-old boy writing into Penthouse.
Yeah.
Dear Penthouse, I never thought it would happen to me.
Yeah.
There I was delivering newspapers one day. I knock on the door. A housewife comes to the door.
Oh.
She's wearing a robe. It's slightly open.
I see her boob.
I see
Singular.
Yeah, I see her boob. Come immediately. I went home. It was great. Thanks again. Bye. And that's his whole story.
Right.
Is he just jizzes too quick?
Right. Well, he doesn't know if they ever get published because he can't buy Penthouse.
Yeah, exactly. But he's just writing all the times he prematurely.
You know, it's like at some point Penthouse writes back and they're like, please stop sending us. You can pretend you're writing us letters like Dear Mr. Henshaw by Beverly Cleary, a great book by a great author, and reference that didn't work. What was your favorite graphic novel?
You're doing great. I didn't have a favorite graphic novel
right.
because there's so many and for different reasons.
Right.
That's why I broke it into the big two.
Yeah.
And then I also have the big two alternative run.
Okay.
So this is a character that's, a hugely established character within Marvel or DC, but this is outside of the this is happening.
Right.
Canon, you know? It was, I believe it was on the DC, like, Black Label or something. I can't remember what it's called. Like,
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah,
for
yeah.
adults.
Yeah, it's like a
Marvel used to do Marvel Nights, but
Yeah.
yes, it's the equivalent.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. Like DC, I don't know, DC After Dark.
Yeah.
But,
It might be DC Black.
I think it is. But yeah, it was Beyond the White Knight by Sean Murphy.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed the White Knight series for Batman.
Right.
And I think we've talked about it a little bit in the past. But
Yeah.
Sean Murphy's fun. Some of his stuff is like dumb misogynistic shit.
Yeah.
Like it can tip a little too broy.
Okay.
But when he's on point, he's great. And there's he knocked it out of the park with this whole little franchise that he's built. That is making Batman interesting to me again.
Yes.
And I'm really enjoying it. Essentially, it started with The White Knight, then it went to Curse of the White Knight. And those two dealt with this idea of an alternate kind of reality.
Right.
Where Batman, the Joker, basically takes a wonder drug and is no longer the Joker.
Oh, thank goodness.
He's a normal man now.
Yeah.
And all the trouble that comes with that.
His name is Chuck.
But Batman is convinced that this is not accurate.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not true.
Yeah.
And he gets so upset about that and hell-bent on showing that he is the Joker that Gotham turns on him. And now non-Joker runs for mayor.
Wow.
And is talking about, like, here's all the funding that the GCPD and the city of Gotham have to pay for all of the destruction that superhero fights have.
Oh.
And that's coming out of taxpayer money. Meanwhile, Batman's like, Bruce Wayne donates exactly that amount of money every year, right? Like, he's trying to cover it up.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he gets arrested. He goes to jail, Batman. Like, it's fantastic. Dealing with Harley Quinn in this universe is amazing.
Yeah.
I even read the run of Harley Quinn off of this that was great. And this year, those books came out previously. This year, Beyond the White Knight came out, and that is keeping with the same storyline of things that have happened, but doing Batman Beyond.
Oh.
And as a kid growing up, like, I loved the animated series, Batman the Animated Series.
Yep.
And I grew up alongside the show, or rather the show grew up alongside me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I got into, like, high school, when I would kind of be dipping out of that, that's when Warner Brothers came out with Batman Beyond. And
Right.
there's a cool story behind that. We can get into that another time, which is it's in the future,
Right.
where Bruce Wayne is an older man. He's no longer Batman. And Terry McGinnis, a young kid, takes up the mantle.
Yeah.
And it's great. Taking the storyline of White Knight and turning it towards Batman Beyond and bringing in Terry McGinnis and dealing with Bruce now.
Yeah.
Fucking great.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. I think the same reason I love the Chip Zdarsky run of Daredevil.
Yeah.
You're taking these things that have been so well trodden and so done, and introducing a new element where you go, ooh, interesting, and you can look at everything in a different way.
Yeah.
And this is making you see these very well known characters and take them in a new direction. So that's why I love it. Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
I have a favorite author as my next category. And, I don't want to keep doing the same ones you'd expect from me, Stephen King or Brandon Sanderson. But this year, I read a bunch of books by Naomi Novik and really, really, really enjoyed them. There's the Scholomance series about, a school for magicians, except it is, they're constantly being attacked by creatures of evil. And that's like the school runs on it,
It fucks
basically.
their spines up, right?
Yeah, no, it
Scolomancy?
Yes, it's there. I know that trope is the wrong word, but I kind of a setting that I love is the idea of, like, these young people with phenomenal powers or whatever.
Hot bods, as you will.
Yes, come together at a school, and they train on whatever. So like the Harry Potter or X-Men First Class
Right.
type
Yeah,
stories are ones that appeal to me, and I know this. And so this is, they're getting ready to leave, but at graduation they have to like run through this gigantic field of terrible monsters, and how are they going to whatever. And so I read the first two early on in the year, loved them. Third one came out in November, closed the series. Well, like I loved it. She's also written a series of books, Temeraire. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But basically it's the Napoleonic Wars, but if dragons existed. And so it's like the British dragons compared to the French dragons. Oh, they go over to China and learn that the dragons there are treated very differently. So it's abolition being preached in, Britain for slaves, but also like, hey, the dragons are like, hey, wait a minute. We're like, we don't get to own property or vote or do anything. And we're like just as smart as you guys. And you're just using us for war. So like, please stop. But
And the French dragons are just always fucking.
the French dragons are always the long cigarette holders,
Yeah.
berets.
They
but
show up
yes.
to battle and like, that's as far as you can breathe your fire. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. But no, it's those books are great. I think there's 9 or 11. I think I'm through 5 of them and really enjoying. It's like, oh, this the captain of the main dragon is a gentleman, and he has to abide by all these codes and rules, and I couldn't mention this subject. And so it's that also with like, oh, all right, well, 20 of them ride on each dragon, and they're shooting at each other, and they're throwing bombs, and the dragons are trying to bite each other, and I don't know, it's just an enjoyable escape.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
So Naomi Novik has written a bunch of stuff. I like it.
Nice.
You know, it's interesting. While you were describing it to me, it was making me think of some of the other fantasy stuff that I was thinking about reading. And like, I find myself now, if I'm interested in a book, like, if it's like a fantasy series or something like that, I mean, that's similar. It's close. It's blending two things together. I will often Google things and be like, is this worth the read? Right? Like, I was playing Witcher, so I looked up at the Witcher books and I was like, is this worth reading? And I guess what I mean by that is like, is this worth my time getting into? I don't want to get into it and realize, oh, I've put in 7 reading hours and I'm not enjoying this. Let me put it down.
Yeah.
And there's a weird thing where like that's part of the appeal of the comics with me.
Yeah.
Is my risk level is so much lower.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with like movies and versus television.
Me too.
Wow.
That same thing here.
But isn't that weird where it's like, yeah, my risk level is lower of wasted time, but at the same time, I could sink, I don't have time to watch a 2-hour movie.
Right.
I'll watch 3 hours of 6 episodes of a show.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
a weird thing.
Yeah.
Same with the comics. Like I'll read something and it won't be until issue like 10 or 11 where I'm like, this isn't going anywhere.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
they've stalled out the original concept here and dropped the book. But I've still wasted that time.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I guess you feel like you have the option of doing it at any time in an easier way.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Right.
I guess with a comic or a show, like you can get a lay of the land faster.
I was gonna say like you could read 2 comic books and it might only take you 40 minutes, and then you could be like, I'm not really into this. And
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least
Right.
you haven't put in 3 hours
and
into
I
something.
blow through books.
Yeah.
Comic books.
Yeah.
I'll go through like 6 issues a night when
Yeah,
I go
yeah,
to sleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a tricky thing, that
Yeah.
time balance.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had an author for that one, or
I
if you
don't
had another
have an
category.
author. That's one of those things of just like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I get it.
I have a favorite fiction and a favorite nonfiction.
Okay.
If I had to pick which one of those 2 authors I like more or are my favorite or best,
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, understandable. I did just favorite book. It was called "In the Shadow of Lightning" by Brian McClellan, who has written the Powder Mage series and other books. This is a new universe, and there's a new kind of magic, and powered by glass, but really, like, he explains the magic well. I'm invested in the characters. I'm invested in the story, and I want to see what happens next. I think he just did a Kickstarter for a novella set in that universe, and to tide us all over until the next full-length novel comes out. So He's great. I've enjoyed his work, and it's my favorite book that I read this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
You have favorite fiction, favorite nonfiction?
Favorite book I have here, The Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, not a book.
So I have the Bible.
All right,
and the
collection of
Quran
books.
together. What I like to do is I read the first half. I read the first half of the Quran.
Yep.
Then I read the second half of the Bible, and in my head, I'm like, they got it right.
Hang on, I just got an email from our Mormon listener viewers. They are they're canceling you. Ray is canceled in Utah.
I can't even include it because I know how it came about. That's always been like never mind. We're gonna piss off Mormons.
I'll say Orson Scott Card wrote a science fiction retelling of this the Book of Mormon.
Right.
Yeah.
Over the course of 7 novels, and it is fascinating because I read them and I didn't know it was anything other than just a story.
Holy shit,
Yeah.
that's great.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. When I die, I go up into space, and then I get a planet for every wife I have.
I'll also say
That's true. That is a true thing.
The first 5 books are, part of it. They're on this planet, younger brother, older brother, whatever. And then the next 2 are like bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that everyone knows about. Like the part from the Book of Mormon is, these angels and whatever. And I'm like, it really seemed like that series took a shift after book 5. But again, I had no idea. To the point where I'm like, oh, is this a continuation? Like it says it's book 6 in a series. Is that a misprint?
That's very fun.
Yeah.
That's very
funny.
fun.
Yeah, I just didn't know.
My favorite anecdote of how Joseph Smith wrote the Book of Mormon.
Found the Book of Mormon.
Well, it wasn't found. If you're following what
dictated?
he did, it was he read it.
Yeah.
He saw it.
Yeah.
And then he had to remember it,
He
right?
had to stick his face in a fucking hat and look
Yeah.
at his seeing stones.
Yeah.
And it was told to him. My favorite anecdote about it, and I apologies if you're Mormon. I'm sorry, but you probably, given the content of our podcast, have not been listening. This is true. So Joseph Smith, he could read, but he could not write. And so
His wife.
Yeah, he had his wife do it. He also enlisted a believer early on as well.
Mm-hmm.
His wife initially did not want to do it. So he found his stones. Only he could read them, stuck his face in a hat, and would dictate to the scribe.
Mm-hmm.
And the scribe was this guy who believed in what he was doing.
Okay.
And the guy's wife was like, you're fucking up so bad. You are falling into this thing. I don't know what you're doing. Like, this is a bad idea. I don't believe this guy, Joseph Smith.
Right.
Stop going over there, wasting your time, giving him money, right? Because he was a benefactor.
Yeah.
So the guy eventually convinces Joseph Smith to lend him the transcript, right?
Perfect.
The guy takes it to his wife. Look, see? Here's the proof. This is real. And Joseph Smith doesn't hear back from the guy for a long time.
I know.
Yeah. So he goes over to the guy's farm
Yeah.
Okay.
and says, where's the transcript? And the wife says, I have hidden the transcript.
Right.
And if it's true,
Then you can just do it again.
you'll be able to do it again or find it or whatever.
Right.
So now Joseph Smith is in a pickle.
Yeah.
I've just been reading this shit, reading it, right?
Yeah.
Like I've been, let's say
It was
if he
the
was making it up.
biggest pickle
Yes.
of
Right.
any of our lives.
Dear Penthouse,
Yeah.
I was in quite a pickle. So he, if he wasn't,
Mormon penthouse.
If he's reading it off the stones, you
if
can
he
just read it
wasn't
again.
divining it, let's imagine maybe he wasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Then he has an issue because he's not going to be able to make it match word for word. So he has a thought. He goes away. He thinks about it for a few days, and he comes back and he's like,
Yeah.
"I'm going to do it again." But God has sent me a message.
He's mad.
He said that because the original transcript was messed with, that is of the devil. That's Satan messing with me. So I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to change it a little bit.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's why it won't be word for word. And everybody was like, this tracks.
I know.
Like, I
Yeah.
just imagine him saying that.
Yeah.
The wife of the guy going, God damn it, like that. And then the guy going, I told you, he's the real deal.
I like the cut of this Joseph Smith guy's jib. You know what I mean? I really like him.
I'm sorry for that weird aside in,
That's
this,
all right.
in this list making. I apologize.
Yeah.
Favorite author?
It was
did not-
book.
Yeah. Oh,
Or-
favorite book?
Yeah.
Did we didn't do fiction?
I mean, I just did one book.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
well,
sorry.
so I did nonfiction,
Yeah.
the 90s by Chuck Losman. My favorite fiction
Yep.
is a tie.
Ooh, exciting.
Liberation Day by George Saunders,
Okay.
who is one of my favorite authors as well. He
Right.
does a lot of short stories. This was a collection of short stories. George
Right.
Saunders is fantastic. I remember being in an airport listening to This American Life, where there was George Saunders read one of his stories
Okay.
that was written immediately following 9/11. And I was sitting in the airport listening to this, waiting for a connecting flight, and just started crying.
Oh, yeah.
Very effective guy, fantastic author. And then the other one, it didn't come out this year. Liberation Day did come out this year. The other one is One More Thing by B.J. Novak.
Oh.
After watching Vengeance,
Right.
Wow.
I was like, his writing is phenomenal. I knew he wrote for
Yeah.
The Office.
Yeah.
I want to see more of what he's doing. And I know he wrote children's books,
Yeah.
but I want to read this other thing I
Right.
found. It's a collection of short stories as well. And it's good. It's very good. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it. It was one of those things where I kept turning the pages and being excited for a new story.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I do think it's telling that both of them are short, like collections of short
Right.
stories, which goes back to my whole fear of investment thing.
Man, the idea of B.J. Novak writing a book called One More Thing, and it's a collection of Columbo fanfic.
Slash fic.
Yes.
Yeah. One more thing before I blow. Oh, and then real quick, just last thing. Favorite non-hero comic book.
Okay.
Was Reckless by Ed Brubaker.
Oh,
Love Brubaker.
love Brubaker.
Reckless is that run I mentioned in our mail sack episode. That's he started it during the pandemic. He's like, it takes me forever to write comic books, so I'm promising now. These Reckless books, it's going to be a series of books, a Reckless comic, right? And I am going to drop like 2 every year. And he started it during the pandemic, and he has kept true to his word.
Nice.
And the Reckless books are really good.
That's
nice.
awesome. I love Incognito, which was Brubaker
Yeah.
and Phillips.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brubaker and Phillips are like a perfect duo.
I believe Chuck got me the original run of Incognito, but was missing like issue 1 or issue 6, and so Chuck redrew the cover with Brad as the main face. Not a flattering caricature.
I gotta see this. I don't remember that.
Our next topic is music. And man, oh man, I
the music
struggle to fill out this
Oh,
category.
I didn't. I have a lot of stuff.
I'm glad you do, because I sure don't. Favorite live show is our first category. We went to see Frank Turner do a matinee show.
yeah.
And that was my favorite live show because I think I went to 2, maybe 3 live shows all year.
Yeah, that was my favorite too. And it is a thing where we're getting back into like live music and stuff. But that was a big one for me just because I don't know Frank Turner. I got you that as a Christmas gift or birthday gift? Birthday gift,
Yeah.
probably. And Frank Turner's going to come up on my list otherwise as well.
Mine as well.
Yeah.
Ray, how about you? Any live music?
No, I didn't see any live music. I haven't been to a thing. I think I rarely went out to live music pre-pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
And now every single time I see a concert or hear about a concert, I'm just like, COVID. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it sticks in my head. I'm a fucking live performer.
Right.
And I still feel that way.
But
It's
you're
really
on
hard.
stage, you got a distance.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like the last couple of shows I've been to, I'll often like really love a band and be like, man, I'd love to see them, but not with those fucking people. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
there's like I
Yeah.
know the fans that would be there,
Yep.
and I'm like, I don't want to be surrounded. And I think it's part of I'm 6'7".
Right.
No matter where I'm standing during a show,
Yeah.
I feel bad
Yeah.
because everybody is like,
I have a runner up too for my favorite live show, which was the Decemberists in Central Park
Right.
that I went to this summer.
oh yeah,
And they wrote a song for Hamilton that was cut, and Lin-Manuel Miranda came out and did the song with them at the show.
That's fun.
Which was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I saw Michael Imperioli walking in too. And I was like, yo, T,
Of course.
So
Yeah.
that was fun.
Yeah. I'm sure he appreciated it.
He's like, excuse me?
He is. He's looking like a little feminine lately. I think it's because he has low T. Yeah. I gotta go. I gotta go.
Favorite sad song? The one I wrote down is called "Suicide Hotline" by the Prettiets. I had a rough year, and looking through like the songs that made it onto like, you know, from my Discover Weekly onto my like I want to listen to this song again playlist, it's brutal. It is you look at that and you're like, that man needs help. Where it's been a bad few weeks by Ducking Punches. I don't know if it's weeks or months. Suicide Hotline. There's one called Joyless by Castlefield. Like, it's not a great picture. Of, but you know, an accurate one. But Suicide Hotline by the Prettiets. It's one of those where it sounds like it should be. Like, just their voices and the instrumentation sounds joyful, and the content of the song is basically, you know, I'm not good, but I'm not, like, no need to call the Suicide Hotline. Like, I'm not good, but like, it's not that bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to Plath, I'm like a 4. Is the
right.
opening
I like
line.
that.
So that was the one that I was like, okay, and I kind of listened to it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was my favorite sad song.
My favorite sad song was "Live for Better Days" by Ignite, which just like came up. I never even heard of Ignite before, and it's a great song. I sent it over to you.
Yes, you did.
And I heard it. And I have a runner-up that's weird.
Is that Suge Knight's son?
Yes, Ignite. Yeah,
Ignite,
yeah.
IGE.
Short for Iggy.
Yeah.
And but the second one is really strange because it's not really a sad song. And
Oh,
what
happy
it is-
birthday.
Well, here's what it is. It's Bruno Mars's "Just the Way You Are," but the marching band version. And the reason is because when I went to New Orleans for Mark's wedding, they had that big New Orleans march afterwards, and it was this band playing that song, and it was this big parade of everybody at the wedding going down the street, and which is like a New Orleans tradition. And when they played that song, everyone was singing it, and it made me emotional. It just like took me over.
Yeah. Yep.
And this is weird. It's the first time I felt like, oh, I want to fall in love again. That's the first time I felt like that.
Yeah.
And that was like a moment for me.
But isn't that hopeful?
It's hopeful. It's hopeful for sure.
Yeah.
But it also now, and I'm going to try it lightly.
What if it's a sad song for the girl that you do fall in love with?
Well, it's a little bit weird. Like I said, I'm going to tread lightly. It's also now linked to a person who made that even more like apparent that I'm ready for like a big serious thing again. And so it's like it's not a great like it's not perfectly a sad song, obviously.
Yeah.
But the other day it came on and I was like, oh no. Like seriously, like I put it on my playlist as a representation of that moment. I was like, oh, it's fun. But then it came on the other day and I was like, this is bad news.
Fast forward,
Yeah,
skip,
exactly.
skip. Yeah. My favorite sad song is sadder than those things. My favorite sad song is a song, Leave a Light On by Dan Mangan.
Okay.
He is a Canadian man. And he's got a killer voice. I like his music a lot. I found him through the Comedy Bang Bang live podcast episodes.
Wow.
Whenever they're in Canada, I think Toronto, they have Dan Mangan play a few songs.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard him play, I was like, "Holy shit!" Like he's one of those musicians. You're a musician, you can appreciate this. He's one of those musicians when he performs live, he is fucking locked in, like note for note.
Okay. Yeah.
On like his vocals are just he's on key. Everything's perfect.
Yeah.
And he plays acoustic when he performs with them, and I like his studio albums. I want to be like, dude, Dan Mangan, please just release an acoustic album.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
He's one of those. You
So
ever get
Dan,
that?
if you're a fun bear.
I have so many artists that I love.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for the love of God, just please do an album of all acoustic versions of your songs.
Yeah.
Like, why are you not doing this?
I know, it kills me. And so this song came out. He recorded it during the pandemic, and it came out as a single. So the song is about and was dedicated to a friend of his who was in a band, Frightened Rabbit, Scott Hutchison. who killed himself.
Yes.
And Frightened Rabbit was one of my favorite bands in the whole wide world. I've talked about this before with you guys.
Yeah, we talked about it in the car on the way back from New York.
Yeah. I loved Frightened Rabbit. They were a band that my wife and I went to see a few times. They're a Scottish band. Whenever they were on the East Coast, we would come out and see them. We have one of their lines, one of Scott's lines inscribed in our wedding rings.
Right.
And we met him. We talked to him about the rings. We showed him to it. He's a great guy. We hung out with him for a little bit. He had us come to another show, on gratis, as guests. And really wonderful guy, incredibly talented musician who killed himself.
Yeah.
And that was the first celebrity, not celebrity, but musician death.
Right.
David Bowie dying.
Right.
Incredibly sad. And I was sad about it, but it didn't hit me that way.
Right.
That I've
Right.
seen other people be struck by other musician deaths.
Right.
And that was the first one where it floored me. And I was like, God damn. And I can't listen to the music anymore.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't necessarily joyous music. And the lyrics are very coded towards walking into the water and killing yourself.
Yeah.
Which is what he did. He walked into the river and died. So it very difficult. And this song is, again, really well done and about someone I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
And it's so heartfelt.
Yeah.
It is definitely written from that perspective of someone who lost someone else,
Yeah.
and they cared very deeply for them.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
That's a song where I'm like, beautiful song. Let's put it away forever.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
never hear it again.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
But Dan Mangan, check him out.
Favorite single, typically a song that has been, pushed by a record company for release, more so than a favorite song. I did Haven't Been Doing So Well by Frank Turner. It was the second single off his album this year, with the honorable mention Raised by Wolves by the Interrupters.
Oh yeah.
Which I really, really enjoyed. Both of them, radio play. Haven't been doing so well. I remember talking to our buddy Kirsten, is another comic in the area, and about that song. And
Yeah, she's a Frank head as well.
yeah, and
A Frankfurter.
well, she's a Frankfurter, so much so that she married a man named Frank.
Wow.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
he can't sing for shit though.
No.
I just remember talking with her about the song and about how it accurately reflected kind of the state of the world and then the state of ourselves. And it's just good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Song it really spoke to me.
Favorite single for me, I love Justin Bieber's Ghost. It's just a killer song. And
I'm sorry, is the song
I was
by
gonna say-
Justin Bieber or is
Which is it?
Well, it's Justin Bieber's Ghost featuring Kanye West hologram. And no, it's
I really like the idea of a song being named Justin Bieber's
Right.
Ghost. Yeah.
no, it's a song by Justin Bieber called Ghost, and it's really really good. It's just very simple, straightforward song.
Is
and
it based on the movie?
Yes, it is. There's a lot of
Not a lot of
reenactments
that happens.
No.
Not a lot of songs based on a movie. Like I
Right.
want to hear a song and have someone turn to me in the car and go, this is based on
Big Trouble in
Clockwork
Little
Orange.
China.
Yeah.
I think Anthrax wrote a song about this, like inspired by The Stand. But
Okay,
it may have been the book.
Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
I think that might have been
Right,
written
but those
about
are
the
like
book.
also those are like things that are like so in the pop culture
Right.
ether, right?
Yeah.
I want to hear like somebody be like I want to hear somebody be like, that song was inspired by and is about Throw Mama from the Train.
Face Off. But yeah, that song Ghost is killer. I mean, I'm not a huge believer, but I like Justin Bieber. I like that song's great. And my runner up was Big Energy by Lotto, which was a big song this
Yes.
year. That's a great song. I don't know if you know it. You probably know it. You probably heard it.
I think so.
It samples Mariah Carey's.
Sing the whole thing right now.
It samples Mariah Carey's Fantasy.
Okay.
And it's like basically Big Dick Energy.
So it's like sweet fantasy.
Wait, is it Fantasy? Is that the song that it samples?
I don't know. One of the Chuck and Brad dynamics is when Chuck says, "Do you know this song?" And I say, "No," and he says, "Yes, you do."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then he
But-
plays
Yeah.
it for me, and he's like,
Yeah.
when we get to the chorus, you'll recognize it.
He does
and
that
then we
though
get to
And
the
he always
chorus.
does.
liking
You
things,
usually do. You do.
But it's the
I
same.
occasionally
It's
do.
the same exact pattern of
usually do.
did you like that thing?
Yep.
Do you like that thing?
No.
You say how you feel, and then he goes, "No, yes, you do. You love it. You
No,
love
he
it. It was
knows the
great."
songs. He knows the songs.
All right.
I remember showing you that acoustic version of that song, and I'm like, oh, how about this song? And you're like, I don't know it. I'm like, oh, you know it. And you're like, I don't know this goddamn song. And then I get to the chorus, and you're like, oh, yeah, I know this song.
It was
Well,
happy
don't-
birthday.
it was,
Don't trip me up by making it acoustic.
It was Tarzan Boy, but like an awesome acoustic
Oh, okay,
version.
yeah.
You know that
Yeah,
song?
yeah.
Yeah, it was
Is
killer.
that the one that goes, oh, yeah, yeah,
And they
yeah.
made it like beautiful.
Yeah.
Really, really
Oh, I
good.
can't wait for that song to come on in a slow, sultry version for a trailer.
Yeah.
Oh, I would
like
love
with,
that. Some
with a
breathy-
choir singing it.
Oh, see, I pictured like a breathy, Lana Del Rey.
Oh,
Yeah, of course.
Kind of like,
that would be hard to make into anything else.
yeah.
All right, go ahead. What do you say?
I don't have a favorite
Single? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Favorite song? Did you write down a favorite song?
I got a favorite song. It's weird.
No, we're getting so not molecular. We're getting so
Into minutia.
I guess so. Yeah, but no, go ahead.
We're
Go ahead.
splitting
Sorry.
hairs, is what we're doing.
Sure, yeah.
Well,
They're a great band.
singles for me.
I don't know if that's a bit.
You know, the Lotto song is like a current thing being pushed. My favorite song of the year was "Kickstart My Heart."
Really?
I just got so into "Kickstart My Heart," and I started listening to the remastered version, like at full volume.
Oh, so this is a song that didn't come out.
No, it could just be your
necessarily
favorite
this
song
year.
of the year.
Got it,
Did you
got
have a
it.
song this year that struck you?
Sure,
is essentially
sure.
how I would
Yeah.
do it.
Happy
and
birthday.
Kickstart My Heart. I just keep thinking of it, and I hear it, and I listen, and it goes crazy in my brain, and it's like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. But I was 13 when I had these feelings about Kickstart My Heart.
Well, My Heart came out before I was born.
yeah.
Chuck, tell them the truth. You told me before we started recording what your favorite songs of the year were. So tell the truth.
What is it?
You love
Yeah.
R. Kelly's Trapped in the Closet.
Yes, I do.
Every part of it. You love Michael Jackson's entire discography.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
You love all of these
Yes,
things.
yes. No, I don't know why Kickstart My Heart just like got really into my brain this year. It's just
Yeah.
the intro is so perfect.
Yes.
It's so big. It's so balls to the wall. I don't know. It just really struck me as like a perfect example of what that type of music is.
I love that song
It's
so
it's
much.
so well written. It's crazy. It's funny
Well,
because
there's the demo version is like available, and instead of whatever sounds Vince Neil makes, he makes different ones in the demo, and it's like whoa, or
Yeah.
it's bizarre.
it's a really interesting song, and I want to think of myself as someone who appreciates different genres. And there are some songs that are going to kind of epitomize genres. If you're really taking a step back, and that one for that type of music, I'm like, man, if you're trying to get someone into that type of music, showing them this song to me is the key.
I like that.
It's a
Yeah.
good song. It's on my Get Psyched mix.
It's so
'cause It gets
good.
me psyched.
Yeah.
And it's, by the way, the message is just nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kickstart My Heart is just basically like, I think what he's doing is like, I'm going to do a lot of dangerous things, possibly drugs, and I hope I don't die.
Yeah.
That's really what it is, right?
I want to get psyched.
Yeah.
I want to skydive naked from an
Yeah.
airplane.
Yeah.
I will say this: I don't have a favorite song,
Okay.
but and it's not in my official thing here because it didn't come out this year. But I would be remiss. I
Yeah.
brought it up earlier with documentary stuff in the previous episode. This 2022 for me personally was the year of the Beatles.
Yeah.
Right.
I know
for
it
a
was.
good chunk of it.
Yeah.
And like really like getting past the obvious stuff that everybody like the stuff everybody knows from
Right.
the Beatles and like moving into more of their discography, understanding the time and place when it was coming out and what
Right.
they were doing and being able to identify different people and all that stuff was really, really fun for me. And I just went on like, I thought there was a good like 6 months where I was like, I guess I only listen to the Beatles now.
Sure. Yeah.
But really, really special stuff
Yeah.
and wonderful. So that's gonna go in my favorite song.
Yeah.
was
That's fine.
The Beatles.
Perfect.
You know,
Now I feel
Favorite song, The Beatles, all of them.
oh Every John and ring jingle, I want to say. Is there a Tony?
I wrote down for my favorite song was Low Tide by the Wonder Years, specifically the lyric, it's low tide in Serotonin Bay, which is beautiful.
That's good.
It does continue. And for the first time, I don't think that everything will be okay. And I'm like, yep, you get it, the Wonder Years. You get it. Things have fundamentally changed.
Yep.
And my childhood naivete and optimism is gone.
Yeah.
And
Hey, welcome to
Thank you.
Existential Crisis.
Thank you.
I think that's the first time we've touched hands.
Yeah, I think so. Favorite
My little guys.
We always wear gloves other times.
Yes. Favorite album of the year was Frank Turner's FTHC.
Mine was The Interrupters, Into the Wild.
Yeah.
Or In the Wild, I should say.
And this was easy for me.
The
Truly.
Beatles.
For favorite album and favorite artist.
Nice.
They're the exact same.
Wow.
I feel strongly about this.
The Cranberries, self-titled.
No, it's their debut album.
Okay.
They're a fucking new band.
Right.
They came out with one song that was like the radio hit.
Right.
The single, I like it.
Yep.
It drew me into them. That one I usually skip now just because it's been so overplayed everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I fell in love with this band. It's that beautiful thing that you hope happens, right? Like it happens once in a while where I will find a new band.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love everything
Yeah.
about this. I love all of the dynamics that are at play in this, right?
Yeah.
I like what you're pulling from.
Yeah.
I like where you're going with this stuff. And then that album is just, I like this one. I like this one. I like this one. I like this
Yeah.
one. You know what I mean? The whole thing. I think like the last time for me that happened was maybe Car Seat Headrest, Teens of Denial, but that's a while ago.
Yeah.
And this year it was 1,000,000% Wet Leg.
Really?
Wet Leg is a fucking killer band.
I know nothing about Wet Leg.
Wet Leg is a band from the Isle of Wight.
Okay.
They're a UK based band,
Right.
And they're made up by a handful of members that are just like they were in different bands throughout time, and they've all met each other through that stuff, and they kind of came together.
Sorry, when you said throughout time, I was just thinking of Turtles in Time.
Oh no, I was thinking Time Bandits.
One's
I
in
really
the
was.
Technodrome. Yeah.
Yeah, where one of the little people was like, "We should start a band,"
Yeah.
you know. But no, they came together and absolutely knocked it out of the park. Wet Leg is you know it's not pop. It's more rock based, right? It's weird to get into like labeling
Yep.
that now, but you know it's a band. They play their instruments.
Right. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
It's definitely rock. I like the references that they seem to be pulling from. They seem to be pulling from these really fun like 90s places, and with a modern turn towards that. The lyrics are really fun. I think I like the song "Oh No." Vocalized a thing that I haven't heard vocalized in this particular way for like modernity, and the whole song is basically, you know, I went out and now I came home all alone and now I'm on my phone, like that's it. I'm scrolling away, right? And that was really fun to hear. You know, suck the life from my eyes. It feels nice. I'm scrolling. It's great.
Yeah.
And I really like their aesthetic. I like that they are like. They seem to be like a group of weirdos.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
As
They're-
so many musicians are.
Yeah, but they're a group of weirdos that are just like, wow, this happened real fast, so we're just gonna stay us. And like this, we don't really want to talk about anything else. And it's the lead singer is great. She's a phenomenal singer. And her and the lead guitarist, two women. Fantastic. The keyboardist, backup guitarist is the boyfriend of the girl, and the drummer is a weirdo who wears too many layers for being a drummer.
Yep.
And the bassist just looks happy to be there.
All right.
But I ended up finding that album, falling in love with it. I'm gushing all over this. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
no,
but
it's fine.
It's the two categories combined.
Right.
I found the album and just started listening.
Yeah.
Like I would get in the car and like, I'm going to listen to stuff. And then I would just end up back at Wet Leg.
Yeah.
And I fucking love them. They're so great. It gets me so excited for whatever they do next.
Right.
Because I think some of their weird choices from bands that they used to be in, like stuff where I'm like, oh, that's not for me.
Right.
Right. Those choices have influenced where they go with these songs, which takes it away from too generic poppiness. Right.
Yeah.
And I've ended up watching a bunch of their live performances on YouTube.
Interesting.
Because it's one of those things. I saw one.
Yep.
And
The
then
algorithm.
the algorithm gave me them. And
Yep.
I find myself watching the live performances and being like I said earlier, I would fucking love to see this band live.
Yeah.
Like, don't want to go with all those fans. You know what I mean? I think I'm just older than probably the
I mean,
usual.
that happens. I think this is just my own personal opinion. I think you just got to push past that and experience stuff.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
have that too. And I'll be like, oh, I'm going to go here. Then I got to park. And then I got to walk. And it's going to be these people. I'm going to be bumping into these people. How busy
I
is
just
this
feel
going to be?
super uncomfortable
I know.
in the crowd.
I get it. I get
because
it.
of my size and height and
Well,
everything.
become friends with the band, A.
Yep.
B, ask for press passes. Then you're on the side stage.
I didn't do press pass. The last band I befriended, the lead singer killed himself. So I don't know.
So you're cursed. Well,
Oh, no.
hold on.
What?
I'm in a band.
Senior discount.
Yeah, but I'm not a fan of the band.
It's okay because
It's
frankly,
too easy.
they're not a fan of you.
You brought out the tee and put it down, and then you brought out the ball and put it on there, and then you brought me a little wiffle ball bat. That was fun. But no, Wet Leg, so good. I always get excited. It doesn't happen enough when I
Yeah.
stumble on something where I'm like, oh, this
Yes.
is great, and all I want to do is hear this.
Yes.
So yeah, I love Wet Leg.
Yeah.
So good. And the name, by the way, I was like, what?
Right.
On the Isle of Wight, they refer to like summer home people
Oh, okay.
as wet leggers.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because they have a wet leg from getting off the boat.
Yes.
And then and this tells you like the mentality of the band.
Yeah.
They are in the Isle of Wight and they were like, what if we just call ourselves Wet Leg?
Yeah.
And then it stuck. So
Perfect.
good stuff.
I always loved my buddy, my old friend Fairchild. He used to go to Hog Island. Do you know about Hog Island? It's like off
No.
it's off Bristol, Rhode Island, and it's an actual island, and people will have homes there. But you actually have to go there by boat. There's no way to connect it to the
If
land.
anyone asked me to go to Hog Island, like if you guys were like, we want to do a special episode of the podcast and we want to record it at this thing because of this, we have to go to Hog Island. I'd be like, no,
Yeah.
I'll
I've
zoom
gone.
in.
I've gone. But anyway, he said
I was
that-
the hog.
he said
Dear Penthouse.
he said that whenever there were people that went to the island and they had to wear shoes all over the island,
Yeah.
they would call them tenderfoot.
Oh,
Which
yeah,
is
yeah.
a very similar
Yeah.
thing as wet leg.
Yeah.
You know. Favorite artist for me,
Senior discount.
Frank Turner.
Ah, mine as well.
Because I went to the show and so many people have been talking about Frank Turner as this, marriage between folk and punk and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he really impressed me, and I started putting him in my playlist and started listening to a lot of stuff. And then my runner-up is DJ Cummerbund.
Oh,
who
yeah.
does these mashups, but they're purposely, like, some of them are just incredible, but they're purposely super far away from each other. So one of them is Whitney Houston's "I Want to Dance with Somebody" and Mumford and Sons' "Little Lion Man," and it makes like a new song that is incredible. But his stuff is not like, oh, I took these songs that go together. It's more like I took these songs that no one would think they go together.
Right.
Yeah,
He also took Cardi B's WAP and he put it with "Devil Went Down to Georgia," and it's like, to me, like superior to WAP by itself. But he's really incredible. I think he's touring with the B-52s for some reason.
Perfect.
And he's just a really, really talented guy with a really interesting mind for music.
Nice.
I like that.
Yeah. And my last thing I wanted to say, I got into some weird stuff this year. Much like Ray. Ray didn't get into weird stuff, but I got really into orchestral covers of like pop songs. So I've been listening to those like a lot.
Perfect.
And they're awesome. I'm getting into way more into 70s like rock and folk. I had to do this project at the beginning of the year where I had to follow these two guys to go to old stores that they would go to. It's these two people from Tell 'em Steve Dave to buy toys and stuff. And a lot of it is about reminiscing. And when I got into making this documentary, I really had this specific feel I wanted to go to, and it led me down the path to like 70s folk, 70s rock and stuff like that. And it just got me really, really into that stuff. And then finally, I just wanted to say, I wanted to give a shout out to Masked Intruder and Direct Hit, who I'm getting into a little bit, two great bands. that I'm kind of honestly. I have YouTube Music, which used to be Google Music, and I let the playlist thing play when you play a song, and I let it just show me new stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked at how much stuff I really love and end up adding to my collection.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Totally. My runner-up, by the way, was Steve Lacy's new album, Gemini Rights.
Okay.
I didn't realize I had liked Steve Lacy
Yeah.
until he was the musical guest on SNL. And I was like, oh, I like this. This is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went to check it out on YouTube Music as well. We're not sponsored. We should be, I guess. And then I realized, like, oh, there's like 3 or 4 songs that I've been enjoying that come up in my rotation that are Steve Lacy as well. So yeah, Gemini Rights, Steve Lacy, a lot
There
of
you
fun.
go.
Nice.
And of course, Happy Birthday. The song
Yes.
Happy Birthday.
Great song.
I just wanted to keep bringing that up as much as possible.
Yeah, I love hearing it around my birthday.
I will say,
Like the version that has my name in it.
Yeah, yeah. There's
If you-
so many versions of that song.
if you want a fun thing, Mast Intruder has a song called Beyond a Shadow of the Doubt, and it's very much an old school early 2000s pop punk song where the chorus is very like just straight up pop punk about how much this guy's in love with this girl, but the rest of the song is basically about how she has put a restraining order on him and he's not supposed to go near her, but it is that love song through that, and it's like so clever and so funny, and I just want to give a specific shout out to that song.
Nice.
Good song.
Next category is
Nap time?
Yes.
Is that what it is? It's nap
favorite
time?
nap of the year. Streaming/TV.
See, the downside is, Brad, you have note cards.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You have note cards, very well prepared. I was going to bring my iPad. I forgot it.
Yep.
You have your iPad. Here's the problem. Like, I'm looking at this, and what you can't see when you look at yours is the time up in the corner.
I can't.
And I just see the whole day going by.
Oh, yeah.
It's, I'm tired.
Well, I mean, favorite surprise. I guess I wrote it down intending it to be like something about streaming or TV, like a moment that surprised me. But really, it's how much my viewing habits have changed.
Sure.
And I feel like we talk about this every year, and it shouldn't be a surprise. But this year, where it was, I'm watching things on, not just content on YouTube, but shows that have been uploaded to YouTube or shows that I have obtained from legal means through friends. And
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking
it's
about.
all there's very little traditional TV with the exception of live sports for me.
Right.
And it just like looking back at my list of the shows I watched this year and watched, the series to completion, and none of them are traditional. I know. Traditional broadcast shows. They're all streaming or were like produced for a service or are British or New Zealandish.
Yeah.
So just a weird thing that I realized.
The times are a-changing.
They sure are.
Yeah.
I'm going to save my biggest surprise because it's the same as my favorite overall show.
Perfect.
Okay.
So I'm going to save it.
All right.
You have a big surprise?
Yeah. Mine would have been Andor.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of biggest surprise to me.
Right.
Yes.
Given the trajectory of a lot of the
Star Wars shows.
yeah, I was just like, whatever. And then that came out, and I was like, oh, this is fun. I
Yes.
like
Yeah.
this. You're going in some solid directions here.
Yeah.
And it was great. I
Yeah.
thought it was really, really, really well done.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would have been it. But for me personally, the biggest surprise of 2022 was Stranger Things season 4.
Oh, yeah.
You guys like to joke around and refer to me as the snob, right?
We do.
Sometimes,
We
yeah.
do.
When it comes to movies and television,
And
have
other things.
Yeah.
sex. Yeah, I'm a sex snob. I'm a huge sex snob.
No.
It has to be high quality.
And I'm like, get over here.
I'm just like, not my cup of tea. No.
I like the idea that we're in the
Yeah.
same spot.
Yeah.
And you're turning down someone who I'm like, all right.
Yeah, and often I'll be like, "Ugh, derivative. I do often go hack. All right, too much. All right, so no, Stranger Things season 4. With season 3, I was like, I'm done with Stranger
Yeah.
Things.
Yeah.
I think you did what you were gonna do, and it's done now.
Yeah.
So I had kind of written it off. I had watched it, but I had written it off where I'm like, I'm not satisfied with this. I'm fine. A lot of the issues that I saw could come are coming. I'm good. And season 4 came out, and I had heard some people say this is good, and it was early on when it dropped that I did watch it.
Yeah.
And I started very pessimistically.
Right.
I did it like one night after Finn and Kalina were asleep. I was in my office. I'm like, I'll put on the first episode of Stranger Things just to watch something. It was after a show. I'd come home from a show.
Right.
They were already asleep. I'm like, whatever. I don't have anything else to watch. I'll put on this. And I'm like, I'll watch one episode, see how bad they're doing. And then I watched another one. You know what I mean? And then the next night I came home from shows and I was like, I'll watch a couple episodes of this. And then I was hooked, and it was so fucking satisfying.
Yeah.
And that was, to me, the biggest change is that season 4 of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
It has setups, payoffs, things that come back. Characters are established.
Right.
Relationships are explored, and still moves forward, and characters do things because the character would probably do that.
Yeah.
Not because the character has to get to this location or this thing.
Right.
And it was just so, I think satisfying was the word I used over and over when I was talking about it when it dropped. And it's still the thing I come back to. It might be the most satisfying show I've watched all year.
Okay.
In terms of just like, I'm in it, I'm having fun.
Yep.
This isn't a game changer. This isn't a dark, serious show where you're getting like holy shit out of it or anything like that. But what it is fucking great. You know what I mean? It's the most delicious pizza you could have.
Right.
Yeah.
And season 4 of Stranger Things.
Nice.
Biggest surprise.
Favorite comedy special? I went with past Funbearable guest Joe List, his comedy special.
I did too. I thought his special this year, and I already liked Joe. I thought it was his most like, this is Joe. This is just him saying, I'm going to make a thing independently. And he just killed it. It was crazy good. And for my runner-up is, I watched a couple of the Tom Segura specials, which I hadn't watched before. And the first 2 I watched, and I thought they were both really, really good.
Nice.
And I watched that like maybe in February, but so I don't even remember the names. But the first 2 I thought were really, really good.
Sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of specials.
Yeah.
I don't.
Right.
It's a thing. Some comics are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
You must watch every special. And then other comics are like, oh, dude, I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So personally, I don't.
Yeah.
I did see Stuart Lee's latest. Stuart Lee is a UK-based comic.
Right.
He did a 2-parter special that ended up airing on the BBC. So one week was the first part, and the next week was the second part.
Yeah.
And it was, of course, to me, phenomenal. Loved every second of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But comedy specials, that's a weird territory for me, I guess.
Yeah.
Too close.
Yeah.
How
Too
about
close.
favorite actor?
I'm going to hold on to this one for now.
Wow.
I did not do actor or actress because that felt too tricky for me.
I went with Diego Luna from Andor for my favorite actor.
Yeah.
I went in very similar,
Yep.
where I didn't expect much, possibly because I had watched the Book of Boba Fett, and then I watched Kenobi, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta watch Andor. Gotta be a completionist. And similar was like, oh, this is good. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
He's doing a good job. And like, I have the vaguest of memories of Rogue One.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, he was in like
Yeah,
it's that much.
Yeah.
So to see this and really like get behind him, knowing his ultimate fate, it felt good. I think he did a great job.
Oh, hang on. Call here. Let me see.
Okay. Oh, yep.
Oh.
Just so weird that he answers the phone. Yes.
It's Bob Odenkirk.
Uh-huh.
And he said, go fuck yourself, Brad?
Well, I haven't watched
That's so weird.
his most famous show, Mr. Show.
He said that if you loved nobody so much, what the fuck were you doing?
I was trying to catch up on all the Disney and Star Wars programming. I'm so sorry, Bob.
What's that? Oh, okay. He said he's fine.
Okay.
He's fine with that because he understands that they're struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that a bit? Was that even funny? I don't know.
I get it.
Actress.
Better call Ray.
It's because you loved you said you loved nobody.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this will be a funny.
Yeah.
I get it.
Favorite actress. I went with Patricia Arquette in Severance.
Yeah.
She was great with a shout out to Tatiana Maslany, who played
She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you just I think Chuck and I had talked about it at some point. It's bizarre that she's like, I have trouble dating. I'm a lawyer in LA. And I'm like, but you're beautiful. Like, that's the least realistic part of She-Hulk,
Yeah,
including the final episode.
Yeah.
The least realistic part is that she would have trouble dating.
Yeah. I got to say, too, with She-Hulk,
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
It
too.
was very fun.
Relax.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I want to say. Hey, calm down.
Yeah.
Like the hate and vitriol for that show, I don't understand. I think it's because at some point you have to go, this isn't all Endgame.
No.
Yeah.
There's
for sure.
dumb fun and games here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you just have to accept that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I agree. I apologize about the Bob Odenkirk
No,
thing.
it's
I thought
fine.
it would be funny. I'm so tired. Disgusting.
I know that I need to watch all of Breaking Bad and all of Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
I just haven't done
You know what's wild? Better Call Saul? Better than Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
It is. I will say about She-Hulk, I don't have it on my list, but I did really enjoy it.
Yep.
It made me realize I'm 6'7".
Yeah.
I'm a big boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
We talked about this on a previous episode way early on. She-Hulk is listed as 6'7".
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What the fuck? But I will say this. I watched the show. I was as a 6'7" man, I'm not used to this idea.
Okay.
It would be truly a marvel to see. But I was like, when I saw She-Hulk, I was like, and she's like carrying a guy and stuff. I was like, huh. I guess I want that too. Right? I guess I have a kink. I want a 6'7" green woman. Is that it?
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I want her to
weird.
carry me and tell me I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be nice to be carried.
Yeah. But I think it's a little edible. Edible edibles.
That's
Oh,
both of them.
jeez.
Yeah.
Can you tell I'm falling the fuck apart?
I
know.
like the idea. I think it's a little edible.
Yeah. This soapbox derby car, that is me, is the
Wheel.
wheels are rolling off,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
still going
Yeah.
dangerously fast
Yeah.
with sparks flying.
Yes.
I have a different version of a thing. I have a favorite nonfiction show.
Perfect.
It was the only way I could describe it.
Okay.
It's not a reality show.
I know.
It's
Right.
not a real show. It's
Yes.
not a documentary.
Yeah.
It's based on truth, right?
Okay.
So I went with nonfiction. Pam and Tommy.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
I haven't seen it.
Pam and Tommy, it's a show that was it Hulu, I think?
Yeah, I
think
yeah. Well worth it. Even if you get Hulu for a month just to watch this, it's worth it. If you don't already have Hulu. It is based on a true story kind of telling
Yeah.
of Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson and the sex tape that was released.
Yep.
And it was great. It was very thoughtful.
Yeah.
It surprised me at how intelligent and thoughtful it was. At first, I thought I was going into this thing more like a circus viewing.
Yes.
And Sebastian Stan plays Tommy Lee.
Okay.
Yes.
Fucking killer performance.
Yeah.
Like such a good performance. And
Yeah.
the actress, I forgot her name. I can never remember names.
Yeah.
Playing Pamela Anderson, phenomenal as well.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen was great in this.
Was this a Point Grey Pictures production? That's his production company. They make The Boys.
I don't believe so. It was directed or showrun and directed by the same director as I, Tonya.
Oh,
The
okay.
movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what made me go, I want to see that.
Right.
Because I, Tonya was great.
I didn't see it yet.
You got to see it. It's
Awesome.
very good. Same wheelhouse,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Based on a true story. This could just be salacious bullshit.
Right.
It's incredibly well done and laid out and like interesting ways of telling the story.
Yeah.
And that's what this is.
Nice.
So Pam and Tommy, really good. And very oddly, it's about Pam and Tommy
Right.
and the sex tape. But what it's really at in the core is the end of pre-internet like entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
Which was fascinating. Like that's the undercurrent throughout the show.
Yeah.
Is the internet is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with the tape,
Yeah.
right? and it starts getting into that. We see kind of the birth of like online porn happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But we're also dealing with Tommy Lee, who was a rocker,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? In an era when rockers were ending.
Yep.
Yeah.
And something else was happening.
Yeah.
And so we see that transition. We see that shift starting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really good. I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic miniseries, and I can't wait to see whatever is next
Yeah.
from that director or showrunner. I, Tanya, Pam, and Tommy. Good
Nice.
stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
So what was that category? Like what were we
That
up
was,
to?
that was nonfiction. I'm on favorite comedy,
Yeah, favorite comedy.
which for me was Ted Lasso, which I
yeah.
watched
Yeah.
this year. The first 22 episodes. I know season 3 is coming in 2023, and I was into it for the same reasons that everyone else is into it, where it's this message of positivity, these characters that you grow to love, 2 filler episodes that are just kind of there. And an overall like genuinely good feeling.
Yes.
You mentioned the word satisfying
Yeah.
in regards to Stranger Things. That's how I felt after watching Ted Lasso, where I'm like, the story's not breaking any new ground.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the fish out of water stuff is fine. But really, I guess the new ground would be the idea of an optimist as the central focus of a show. And it's not like making fun of that optimism.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like
It's actively
yeah.
like coming around to it,
Right.
And also the absence of shitty masculinity stuff, like toxic masculinity in a
Right.
sports show.
Yeah.
That's not. It's not about sports, but
Right.
yeah, this thing of like, no, what if we just talk?
Yeah.
you know, and that's a beautiful aspect
Yeah.
of it too. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a great show.
For me, it was Murderville.
Ooh, yeah.
That's what I put because it's something. The idea of saying, "Hey, let's incorporate the somewhat of a prank on the performer thing," is something I always gravitate towards, and it seems like it's a new thing that people are adopting more. And I love the idea of taking people and putting them in that position. But I will say, just to be fair, I don't watch a lot of series. I'm much more like a movie person where I watch it either with Brad or with somebody or something. And when I'm by myself, I don't really watch television.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a ton of comedies to choose from, but I really appreciate the construct of Murderville.
Yeah.
Putting cards out on the table, I watch a lot of television.
Yeah.
I think it's because like my wife and I used to be like real, just we were movie buffs, right? We
Right.
would watch movies every night we could. We would
Yeah.
watch movies, and at some point it shifted, and we've even talked about this. So it's like, well, that's because like a lot of the people that were telling interesting stories in film moved to television,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And we are in a golden age of television, so it's difficult. I totally understand,
Yeah.
and I feel guilty for how much I do, intake of television.
Yeah.
But I did want to point out, Murderville, originally a UK show.
Yeah.
Murder in
Murder in-
Successville.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, it's very cool.
Yeah.
I know. So is that show also the same kind of like structure?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Though they took the whole. It's an adaptation, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a licensed thing.
Okay.
Right.
Favorite comedy. Difficult to pick something.
Yep.
Honestly, I take in a lot of comedy, but the 2 things that stood out to me were Our Flag Means Death.
Yeah.
Pirate show.
Yeah, really, really good. And I like it's a show, HBO, Taika
Right.
Waititi,
Yep.
Right.
and a bunch of UK actors, Rhys Darby as the titular character, not titular,
Right.
but
Protagonist.
the protagonist, yeah,
Yeah, like Jumpman.
the pirategonist. And I thought it was going to be a show where it's like, is it just like, isn't it funny that we're pirates?
Yeah.
And it went so far beyond that into some really interesting territory, and it was wonderful. I really
Yeah.
liked that show.
Yeah.
It had a nice balance of heart and genuine comedy and some playfulness.
Yeah.
The actor from Men that I mentioned in the last episode is a great asshole in this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was great. And then Breeders is a show on FX. Martin Freeman stars in it along with Sally forgot her name,
Yep.
UK actress. It's a phenomenal show covering like it is a comedy, but it gets serious.
Yeah.
Just a couple with 2 children They live in London and they're living their lives. And Martin Freeman struggles with anger issues.
Right.
And how that relates to everything going on. His parents in the show are the most adorable, funny thing ever.
Right.
And the show it constantly goes in directions that I would not expect a show that's like, oh, we're a couple with kids kind of show to go.
Right.
Really surprising. Like in the first season, it gets to a point where you're like, whoa, I did not expect any of this.
Great.
And it's written by, and I feel like a jerk because I forgot this. It's written by a fantastic comedy show writer. I believe it's one of the guys that did Peep Show.
Okay.
And he also wrote for The Thick of It, which was the original version of Veep. Veep is the American version of The Thick of It.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Armando Iannucci created that show, also created Veep. Armando Iannucci is a comedy legend that nobody in America knows, but influenced a shit ton of what we watch.
Right.
But yeah, those were my two favorite comedy shows.
Nice.
Those were the ones where I was like, oh, a new one.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
How about a favorite drama? Do you have a favorite drama?
Yeah. I mean, I gave it to Better Call Saul.
Yep.
I had to.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
well,
it
after
was,
Bob Odenkirk called.
I know, right? Yes. Oh. Get that here. What's that? Huh? Okay. Yep. All right. I'll let him know. Yep. That was the doctor. Chuck, you have warts.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I'm so tired. I apologize. Yeah, Better Call Saul. I mean, I don't have to say anything about Better Call Saul. Everybody knows what it is.
Yep.
If you haven't seen it, maybe you won't.
Right.
You probably should. It's good. It's Better Call Saul. But the performances are next level, and it really Better Call Saul felt like Vince Gilligan went, I created one of the best hour-long dramas in modern television.
Right.
And I learned from doing it.
Yep.
Now let me apply what I learned.
Yeah, right.
Which is really impressive.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
So that's why it's my favorite drama. A real quick side note.
Yep.
Favorite The Buzz Was Right show.
Ooh, okay.
Which is a dramedy. The Bear. Again on FX.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
About the
FX just
chefs.
quietly killing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? Because my top thing that I can't put in a category, so I didn't even put it in here, is another FX, which is Atlanta,
Okay.
which just finished.
Yep.
It was the last season. Atlanta is one of the best TV shows,
Right.
bar none, I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like what it was doing was phenomenal. But yeah, FX is quietly killing it. The Bear, I was like, what is this? Right. And then I gave it a chance, and it's it's worth the praise that people are giving it.
Nice.
Nice.
My favorite drama was Severance, a show on Apple TV starring Adam Scott and Patricia Arquette. Who I
That
mentioned
won
earlier.
my best depressing mystery
It
category.
was. It certainly won that for me as well. I was so into the mystery of the show, similar to Westworld season 1, where I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but something's going on.
Yes, yeah. But in such a great way in that
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
The retro futuristic stuff.
It is. Yeah. It's
The aesthetic is fucking great.
unsettling. I think intentionally so. What was that?
Yeah.
It follows as a movie that has some weird anachronistic things, and the director said, "No, I want you to be uncertain. I want you to feel like something is wrong here."
Yeah.
And watching Severance, that's what you get. And there's a season 2 coming, and I'm excited to see what that brings. And I hope we get a satisfying conclusion to this depressing mystery.
It
There were
feels good.
multiple moments that I gasped,
Yeah.
at mid or at the end of episodes, and I thought that, blah, blah, blah. Assumptions that I made that turned out to be wrong, and I was delighted they were wrong because it subverted my expectations. Christopher Walken's great. Is it John Turturro?
John Turturro's in that as well.
Like
Adam Scott is killing it. in that.
it's so well done. Like I said, not since Westworld season 1 have I been this invested in the first season of a mysterious show.
And you know what's great about it? I do have to point out Ben Stiller is the director.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ben Stiller, phenomenal director.
Yeah.
Like such a good director. He did Escape from Dannemora, which is a prison. He did that show. for I think Showtime.
Okay.
Recently, Rosanna Arquette was in that.
Okay.
And I have
is it Rosanna? Is it Patricia? I don't know.
Patricia.
I don't know.
Sorry,
I was gonna say,
Patricia.
I don't know which Arquette is which.
I can barely remember anybody's name.
Yeah.
I think my son's name is Phil.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Phil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Punxsutawney Phil. That's how you remember.
Tony Phil.
Thank you, Barry. I really appreciate that. But no, his directing in this is phenomenal. But I believe that's why Patricia Arquette came over from that. And the background of the writer of that show. This is like his first thing.
Wow.
It's his first thing. This guy is from total obscurity. He had this thing that is, if you look at that script, it's just like, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
So I love that Apple TV was just like, yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that's what we need. We need another company every few years that's like, we're going to get in the streaming game now.
Right.
So they throw billions of dollars at it,
Yep.
lose it all, and then go, we're cutting everything.
Right.
Then we need another one to come in and do it again. So Apple TV is doing it right now because before that it was HBO Max.
Yeah.
And now HBO Max is like, I don't know what you're talking about. We never had that show.
Yeah.
That didn't exist.
Get excited for Funbearable Plus.
Yeah.
Funbearable divisions.
You know what we could call, if we don't want to call this the Chammies, Brammies, and Our Hammies, which I think is great, we could call it the Funbammies.
That's
sure.
pretty delightfully dumb.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
that's
happy with it.
that's
I
not
like
bad.
that it's shorter.
Funbammies.
Yeah.
And it also sounds
But that
like
sounds weird. It sounds like we went to Alabama and fucked shit up.
yeah.
Welcome to the Funbammies. Ring, ring, jet ski.
Well, we got Chammies, Brammies, and Our Hammies, or the Funbammies.
That's fair. That is fair.
Those are the only two options.
Did you have a favorite drama? What won your Funbammy?
For my Funbammy for favorite drama goes to
Yeah.
That's Brad running his little Muppet feet.
Stranger Things season 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killer. I really liked it a lot.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. That, like, finally, like, oh, Duffer Brothers, you're fucking great.
Yeah.
You know?
No, killer.
I did have a favorite or best.
Sure.
Whatever.
Whatever you want.
My favorite best.
It's your Funbammy.
Your Funbammy.
Miniseries.
Oh, okay.
Landscapers on HBO.
Really?
Landscapers, so good.
I know nothing about it.
Landscapers is based on true events.
Okay.
About a couple who may or may not have killed the wife's parents.
Okay.
And are found out years and years and years and years later.
Right.
It is a miniseries starring David Thewlis and Olivia Colman.
Okay. I love Olivia Colman.
I love Olivia Colman. I love David Thewlis. David Thewlis is fucking killer. He was in. I'm trying to think of what you might recognize him in. He was the werewolf guy in Harry Potter.
Okay.
That guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
He's a powerhouse actor. She's a powerhouse actor.
Yep.
And the tone of the show is completely unexpected. I thought I was going to get a ripped from the headlines, right? The show breaks off at points and becomes almost stage play-ish. The choices involved in all of that are fascinating, and it's only maybe 5 episodes long.
Wow, okay.
Really wonderful. It's basically, if you look at the thing as a long movie.
Yeah.
But the landscapers.
Okay.
Really great. Really, really great.
Nice.
And I want to say Olivia Colman's husband might have directed.
Okay.
But now I'm telling
Yeah.
tales out of school.
I understand.
I'm gonna go to detention.
I
I'm
wrote down-
overtired.
I wrote down favorite episode
don't have
as
one.
a category.
That is so so tiny. I wish I knew the word I was thinking of. I keep wanting to say myopic. Guys, I am
Minuscule.
through the looking glass on tired.
The prison break episode of Andor was a delightful way to spend 46 minutes. That's all I have to say about that. Favorite
True.
overall show. It is not a surprise if you've been around me this year. Taskmaster in all its various incarnations has provided just in a weird way companionship for me
Sure.
during the early part of the year when I was homebound and couchbound and unable to go places or do things.
When that lady broke your ankles
Yeah.
with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Chuck.
She was like, please record another podcast.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
you got to record another podcast.
Call me a dirty,
What did you do?
dirty bird.
She called me thinking bozo.
Thinking bozo.
Taskmaster, for those of you who don't know, is originally a UK show. 5 comedians, do tasks in a house.
For the full season.
right.
They are in it, and it's not just each episode, it's different
Right.
comedians. And
Yes.
I think that's one of the keys to the success.
And it's it can be things like destroy this cake in the most spectacular way, write an anthem for this whatever country you draw, or
More puzzly items.
yeah, hit this golf ball in the hole, and you think the hole's across the lawn, it's not,
Yeah.
whatever. And the first series in the UK is 6 episodes, and I think they went to 8 episodes for a couple series, and then 10 episodes, and that's kind of what they settled at. They have licensed it to other countries. Taskmaster New Zealand has had some bangers.
MASH.
Yep, seasons 2 and 3 in particular, and then I know
2
that,
is my jam.
They've done Norway. I think there's an Australian version.
There's I think I remember seeing a photo of Alex Horn.
Yep.
That he took with all of the other Taskmaster's assistants.
Yeah.
I think there were like 10 or 11 people there.
Is I watched, I think, 17 seasons of Taskmaster. So in the area of 160 episodes of this like delightfully wacky game show. And it has like watching Alex Horn interact with Greg Davis gives me, again, I always see myself, for better or worse, for accuracy or inaccuracy, as a second fiddle comedically, because I'm often around a comedic partner that is much more boisterous and outgoing.
Yeah, that other fiddle, it may not play the best, but it plays very loud.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
and so to see Alex Horn excel in that role so much has given me so much confidence to be like, oh, there is a place for me in comedy. And then also his willingness to do a dumb joke at the top of every episode and stick with it. Love it. And then also like the little passive aggressive things. And he got called out on this in series 14 for being passive aggressive, and like the little shitty things he says to contestants. It brings me so much joy.
Taskmaster, it's my best feel good and funny show. Taskmaster.
Yeah.
My wife and I fucking adore that show.
Yeah.
Right. To a degree, like I watch that show. I get excited. I find out, like, I know when it's airing.
Yeah.
So I know Thursdays when the season is happening.
Right.
That it's happening. And because it's in the UK, it's 5 hours ahead.
Right.
So I am on my way to access it.
Yep.
Like at 5 o'clock, where I'm
Ready.
like, I'm going to get this. We're going to watch it tonight. Tonight's Taskmaster night. Because we found it during COVID.
Yeah.
And got caught up with it. And it's just, it is, there's no other show.
No.
There's nothing like Taskmaster.
I wish, I wish we could do it. We don't have the license for it. But, if we put on a little stage play here at the Comedy Connection in East Providence, Rhode Island, right at the Taskmaster. But, like,
I want to be a contestant so badly.
It's so much work to do the filming of the tasks and then the editing and then the presentation. It's so much work. And I recognize that. But that doesn't mean I don't want it to be done.
And by the way, low key, the underdogs of that show, or the
unsung heroes.
Unsung heroes. Thank you. The editors.
Yeah.
Taking all of this raw footage of people over the course of days and days doing these tasks one after the other with I don't know how many. Sometimes camera count has to be like a dozen.
Yeah.
And putting together like fun, cohesive, funny packages from that is crazy.
And some of the stuff, you don't know how long it's going to go. Some of the stuff, a 15-minute time limit. And some of the stuff is hours. And you're following them around. And, somebody stole a dummy. And
Yeah. And then the magic of the studio.
Yeah.
With Greg Davis. Good God.
And he is so funny. I don't know how much is written for him, and I don't know how much of it is off the cuff, but I know it's not all written for him.
No.
And to see him, respond, I don't know. I just wish, like, I hope that Alex Horn sees this and is like, I mean, I'm sure he will. He's a fun bear, and it realizes how much that show has meant. Obviously to me personally, but to others as well.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it started as like a fringe festival thing where he's like, I just asked my friends to film themselves doing these tasks, and then assembled it. I think he and Tim Key assembled it, and the next year it was slightly bigger, and then it got picked up by, I think, Dave or what.
It was Dave, yeah.
And is now a thing
on Channel
4. Mo Farah, like the most famous British distance runner ever, like the only accomplished British, was just on their New Year's. Like he is Sir Mo Farah, and he's like, I'm gonna go do these tasks for this TV show, and it is insane to me.
Oh, they've had comedy royalty from the UK on that show for sure. It's we could do a whole episode about that where Chuck just sits quietly.
I don't know who I don't know who I would kill to get Ray Harrington on Taskmaster UK, but it would be someone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, because I need a partner when we go kill whoever this person is.
All right, let's do it.
Because I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Well, if it'll get you on there, worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Task number 1.
Yeah.
Hide this body.
Yes.
It's the hard part with Taskmaster is when fans of Taskmaster are like this.
Yeah.
Rabid. Like we love the show to a deep, deep place in our hearts.
Right.
The problem in loving Taskmaster is attempting to describe the show never tells you what it is.
Nope.
It sounds silly and goofy because it is silly and goofy.
Yeah.
But it's the way it all comes together that is just so like I would say to our listeners and viewers, almost all of it is available on the Taskmaster YouTube channel.
Right.
By season. You can go season by season through the show and watch it for free. And you just have to wait for the seasons to come through.
Yeah.
It's prolific. It's only been on for X amount of years, and they're already on season 14.
Yep.
And there's no signs of it stopping.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to.
No.
So Taskmaster. And you're a fucking fool for not watching Taskmaster. I'll say it right now to your face. And so will Brad. Right, Brad? No. Oh,
I'll kill you.
damn it.
I'll just kill him.
You got to watch Taskmaster.
Yeah, I heard it's good. My favorite overall show that also was biggest surprise was The Rehearsal with Nathan Fielder.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. That
It was
great.
just too good in terms of, the idea of breaking the kind of the rules of reality television, folding in on itself, kind of looking and critically at what it's doing by the end of it, and kind of living in between the world of comedy and drama and reality. And it's funny because I was like so excited because of Nathan For You.
Yeah.
And so I'm telling people about it before it's coming out. And I'm like, yeah, Nathan For You is hilarious. It's
Yeah.
And then this is just a different ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like watching this without Nathan For You is a harder pill to swallow, I think.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to know what the character of Nathan is and the lengths that he'll go, what his like creative kink is.
Yes.
Right.
To understand this.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you know this? Okay, great. Now we're going to go into the advanced course.
I know.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But yeah, I think Rehearsal, I just haven't really seen something that breaks the boundaries of what it starts out as so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really, really fun.
That's great.
I don't have a best TV show. I just
Right.
have a couple of small categories.
Perfect.
Best return to TV. Meaning
Clark.
like a show that
Oh.
went away and is
Okay.
coming back, because that happens all the time now.
Yep.
Kids in the Hall on
Yeah.
Amazon.
I didn't watch it yet.
That season, I was trepidatious but so hopeful and excited because
Right.
I love Kids in the Hall.
Yes.
Had Kevin McDonald on Ray Harrington Must Content.
Yes.
This year.
Yep.
To talk 2022.
Right.
To talk about the return before it was there. It was delightful. Like as a lifelong fan of Kids in the Hall, I was like, I don't know. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
What is it going to be the same?
Yeah.
It's not the same, but in the best way. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
It still retains its core, and every episode had stuff in it where I was just like, bravo for coming up with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then nailing it and delivering on it.
Yeah.
Everyone shines in it.
Yeah.
And everyone has like that sketch.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So wonderful.
Yeah.
Love them. So happy that the show was well received. And I'm so impressed with them coming back fucking 20, 30 years later.
Right.
Yeah.
25 years, whatever, and being like, let's do it again.
Right.
Let's do comedy.
Yeah.
Like, let's do, like, Kids in the Hall, like, pushed boundaries.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
They were the punk sketch
Yeah.
group.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And to come back as, 50, 60 somethings, like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
you know
it
what I
is.
mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they nailed it. And then I have to say my award for my Funbammy.
Yeah.
My fanny goes to for a show that needed to end but is still going on.
Is it this episode of?
Yes, it's Handmaid's Tale. Handmaid's Tale
yeah.
should have ended. Good Lord, please somebody shoot it.
Yeah.
It would have been Walking Dead, but they did. They
Yes.
killed it. Only to find out that killing it makes it stronger, and there's going to be 5 new Walking AMC.
No.
Yes, AMC's turning into the Walking Dead channel.
There's going to be more shows?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a
Really?
Rick and Michonne spinoff. There's more Fear the Walking Dead. There's some like young kids dealing with the zombies Walking Dead. Then there's the Daryl Walking Dead spinoff.
Wow.
And
I'm
I think
surprised.
maybe one more.
Because I thought that Walking Dead dipped in.
City of the Walking Dead is one.
I thought that the Walking Dead just like popularity like dipped a lot a long time ago. So why are all these coming out now?
Enough people watched
Still
that
watch
show.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
that
reading a
show-
thing about how basically right when Negan killed 2 of the main characters, like the viewership dropped drastically after that, which is
Yeah.
pretty much.
But
right-
people,
Yeah.
the people that stuck it out, like I didn't, but I have friends that loved it.
Yeah.
I ducked out after the farm. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I was, that could be a category too of like shows that you were like, I'm out, right? Like you pick a
Right.
jump off moment and then never look back and couldn't be happier. For me, Westworld,
Right.
after season,
1,
no,
Season 2?
I watched
season 2
3.
had Shogun World.
season 3 is when I went, I'm done. And I couldn't be happier that I checked out of
See,
it.
I was told season 4 was good, but there's not going to be a season 5.
Yeah,
and
so
they
why
already-
would you go
know.
back to it?
I
right?
know, that's tough.
And then finally, the last thing for TV, because we're wrapping up TV right now.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Brad. You look angry?
No,
All right.
no.
I'm so tired now. I'm just envisioning.
I got to stretch my back.
Oh, all right. Use your little digits.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw this category in there, especially where we're doing this right now. Now, I'm not saying that we should be in this category at all. And I'm not even saying that sarcastically. My new category is this: Best YouTube Channel Show.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
This was the year where I
Yes.
recognized, oh, I watch some YouTube stuff
Yeah.
like a TV show.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And I have to give it to Red Letter Media's Best of the Worst.
Yeah.
That's just one of their things. But I love that show. I love that channel and what those guys do.
Can I tell you
so
something
much.
funny? I like Red Letter Media a lot as well now, and
Yeah.
you got me into it. Best of the Worst is the show I like the least that they do.
That's crazy.
I
That's
know.
crazy. I like it because I get the podcast conversation and I
The,
get
the
to
silly moments.
the silly and I get to mainline 3 bad movies.
That's what I mean, the silly moments from the bad movies.
And I don't have to spend the whole time.
You don't actually have to watch them.
Right. And then the other one I have to give a shout out to is Sorted Food. It's a UK based
Yep.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And those guys, I had full disclosure, I had Chef Ben Ebrel, kind of the central figure of Sorted Food.
Okay.
It's 4 guys. With a tertiary group of people too,
Right.
and he's a fantastic chef. He cooked for the Queen, prepared a meal for the Queen, all that stuff.
Last meal.
Unfortunately. But now he can literally say he's one of a limited group of people that prepared a meal for the Queen.
Good point.
Right.
True.
So, but their channel, it's centered around food, cooking food and things like that. And I'm not really a food guy. Like I don't watch Food Network
Right.
stuff.
Yeah,
But what they're doing with it and elevating the conversation and the content,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Like they have some great games.
Yeah.
And like Pass It On, where the four of them, there's one, Ben Eberl is the professional chef.
Okay.
And then the other three they call the normals.
Right.
Yeah. And so just them having to try and make a meal with no idea what they're doing. And like one guy gets 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Clocks out.
Yeah.
The next guy comes in, has no idea what happened, has to
Oh,
finish,
that's
like
interesting.
continue on. Yeah. They're great guys. They're ethical with their stuff. They're careful. My son loves it.
Yeah.
And they just did their first live streamed Christmas live shows. I think
Nice.
they did 2. We saw them. And they're great.
Yeah.
And they're wonderful. And it's so good. I had to reach out to Ben. I emailed him afterwards and I was like, dude, I just have to say, like, you're a professional chef and I know you are in front of the camera every day for your channel.
Right.
But your live skill was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like being as a comedian, watching him handle controlling everything and emceeing this thing and switching to the next part and still having like knowledge and information about what they're doing.
Right.
Super impressive. So I think there's value in pointing out those channels that are going beyond just like that generic YouTube. Hey guys,
Yeah.
you know, is a thing because we're here.
Yeah.
This is it. Like I do think as time goes on, YouTube channels
I know.
are
Yep.
going to be like, oh yeah, I watched this thing on FX and I watched this thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's terrifying, but here we are.
Yep.
Yep.
We close with the personal category. Some things from our own lives. Favorite, least favorite, who knows? And we'll start. A favorite thing I should have tried long ago: quitting my job. My final day
Clap
of work
your fucking
was
hands, Chuck.
December
This was worth it.
23rd. It was years in the making. And, I don't know if I've said it here. I've said it many times. I was ready to go in early 2020. Then lockdown happened, and I felt lucky to have a job.
Yeah, yeah.
And that loyalty was more to my boss than anything. Although I did, at some point they changed my job. They added on-call responsibilities to my job and didn't give me a raise initially.
Yes.
And I went to the union and they were like, oh, we can't help you. And I'm like, then what good are you? I remember talking with
Famously pro-union,
Right.
Brad
Oh,
Rohr.
I know.
I had a big talk with my boss, and I was like, this is a reminder that I don't owe the university anything. I don't owe you any. I was very mean to her. I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you a 2-week notice. If I want to leave, I can just leave because that's how this school is treating me. Now, ultimately, my case was reviewed. I was given more money and like a pay category change. But the person
Extra
I
cool
directly
guy.
supervised, before I was just cool guy, then extra.
Yeah.
The person I directly supervised who had a lot more of these responsibilities added onto her plate, no category change,
No.
a minor amount of money added. And I was like, oh, this doesn't seem fair. But again, we're in the middle of lockdown.
Right.
Oh, the job market's terrible, blah, blah, blah. Don't go anywhere. And so I stayed. And, then, okay, well, now we're in the year. Now we have to get ready for room. And I was still caught up in it.
Yeah.
The person I supervised, my friend April, she left in January 2022. And so I had the spring semester when I had my back problem, when I had my heart problem, all of that. I was the only one in the office. I missed one day of work for a friend's wedding between the day April left and the day I had to go out for back surgery.
Yeah.
And I wanted to reschedule that back surgery. I wanted to push it back because I was so concerned about being there for work that I was going to put my health
Yeah.
behind closing out the semester. I was ultimately talked out of that. And then
And the surgery went well.
Surgery went well.
They put in a spine.
half
It's made of jello.
a spine.
Oh, it's a half spine.
Yeah, half spine.
You went with the half rack?
And then, hired some new people, came back, and the summer passed. My boss was, amicably left. It was a mutual decision. And it's like, oh, it sucks when, it's a lie and everyone in the room knows it's a lie. But you can't say, hey, that's a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there are other ramifications I don't know
That's
about.
how I felt in Sunday school.
Yeah. You can't say it. So that was when I said, I'm not going to be working at this job on January 1st. Which, I have said I'm looking for another job. I don't want to be here. I've said that before, but
Yeah.
I never put a deadline to it.
Yeah.
And I never told that non-existent deadline to other people. So I was going around intentionally telling others, hey, I'm not going to be working here on January 1st. Hey, I'm not going to be working on January 1st. Hey. And so we're making our on-call schedule for the semester, and it comes to like, it would be my week, like December 27th through January 3rd. And I was like, hey, don't put me on for that week. I'm not going to be working here. And they were like, well, we'll write your name in for now. And I'm like, ooh, that feels a little insulting.
Yeah.
And, I messaged a friend who is working in a similar role at a different college. And, I was like, hey, I think it was after April left, I was like, hey, if you want to apply for a job, go ahead. Like, what you're doing. And he's like, well, I'm kind of already in your role, so why would I take a step back? I'm like, well, that's a good point, but like, I'm going to leave. He's like, yeah, you've been saying that for a while. And I was like, ooh, I sure have. And so I was mostly set going into November. I had a week vacation, because they changed the way our vacation caps work. I was like, I have to take this time or I'm going to lose it. And I was like, is this really what I want? Like, I'm so used to having a stable income and all that. And the night before I went back to work, I was at Chuck's house and I checked my work email, which I had done a couple times throughout the week because I'm incapable of vacationing. And it was this roommate conflict. And I had emails from like 5 of the 6 people involved.
Easy, Brad. Don't give out too much. HIPAA.
It's FERPA is the one we're worried about.
Your FERPA. Your FERPA.
And
your FERPA showing. Yeah, don't show your FERPA.
And I was like, the feeling I got in my stomach in that moment, I was like, I'm going to like this ruins my night.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw up. I feel terrible, and I don't want to go back tomorrow, even though I've taken the last 8 days off of work.
Yeah.
I'm making the right decision by walking away. Now I'll say, having walked away, and I've been unemployed for 2 weeks, I feel adrift. I feel hopelessly lost, but I also know that my sleep scores are higher than ever before.
Yep.
Your poop scores are climbing. Your pee scores are dropping.
Yeah, still in the red on the poop scores. And so it's I know it's the right decision.
But the shape is improving.
Yes. Yes. I just want to figure out what's next. That's all.
Yeah.
But
no,
I also
of
don't want
course.
to rush into that decision because I know it's a big decision.
Right. And like, I've talked about this a lot. We've talked about it a lot. We've talked a lot about you behind your back in positive ways.
And also realistic ways.
Well, when it turns realistic,
everyone knows there's a lie
I
being
push away
told.
from it. Yeah. But that's a real struggle when you are in a job that you realize you are unhappy with, and it's at an unhealthy level.
Right.
It's so hard to detach. The longer you're there, the harder it is to pull away from that, especially when it's all tied to your own well-being, your insurance, and the bills that you have to pay, and the money that you make, and all of those things. And it's so difficult. And like, I am speaking not from experience because I'm a stand-up comic. I haven't had to do it. The real jobs that I've had were during college, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that kind of thing. And
He traded porn for cheeseburgers.
Your Arby's kingdom. Yeah.
that's right. Wait, no, that was pre-college.
Okay.
Yeah, that was PC. Post college, worked at a movie theater.
Also PC.
Also PC.
Yes.
Yeah, I worked at a call center for Verizon.
Oh, he peeked at Stephen King.
I didn't peek at Stephen King.
At the movie theater.
I started the film for Stephen King.
Did you look at him?
Yeah, of course. It was his movie that I was running for him.
I know.
Yeah.
He has a peek.
I kissed him. I kissed Stephen.
I kissed the king.
Joe watched me.
Yeah.
Joe Hill.
Yep.
Yeah.
They did come see a movie together once.
great.
That was nice. Anyway, so and like corporate world stuff was like the call center, and then I did a thing for a thing called Job Corps.
Okay.
I was going to be a resident director there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I after the first day of the training period, I came home to my wife and I was like, I'm not taking this job.
Yeah.
I can't. I feel ethically opposed to what's going on.
Wow. Okay.
And not
Right.
nothing bad was happening.
Right.
But me, I was like, I don't like this way of doing this
Right.
stuff.
Right.
So I knew I wouldn't make it. So I was like, I think the right thing to do is go to training for 2 more days and then quit.
Right.
Because I was getting paid for the training.
Perfect.
But anyway, it's very difficult, and I applaud you for stepping out of that.
Yeah.
And it's really, really hard to break that thing, you know,
Right.
especially stepping out without a job in hand.
Yeah.
That can be extremely difficult, but I know you. You are the ant, okay?
Yes.
The grasshopper over here with ant tendencies.
Yeah, no, he's an ant with grasshopper tendencies.
Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. He's an ant wearing a grasshopper's head, going, "Hey, look at me, everybody! I'm a real grasshopper." Meanwhile, the real grasshopper died 3 seasons ago.
Because the ants were like, no, get
Yeah.
off our stoop.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
eat
yeah.
your soup.
But you know, you have your runway.
Yeah.
And I think the hard part is when you get to a place where you're like, here's this money.
Yep.
I can't leave because this money is what's here, and
Yep.
no one else is saying, here, have this same bag of money.
Yep.
But, and my wife went through this during the pandemic. She changed jobs.
Yep.
And found out as soon as she did that the person that she was directly under should not have anyone under them.
Yeah.
Terrible. And she was miserable.
Yeah.
And you know, at that level that you were discussing. And the problem was the same. And it was a question of like, how much of that is like, what's that worth to you?
Yeah.
What is that misery? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think applying, like looking at, like if someone watching or listening is in the same kind of wheelhouse and in a job that they feel stuck because they're miserable there and are worried that they might make a little less somewhere else.
Right.
That's the money.
Right.
It's everything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It goes back to that stupid thing of like, yeah, as a comedian, I don't have fucking thousands in savings, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands in savings. That's not my life. You know, sometimes I struggle because money comes, money doesn't, whatever. But the other value that comes in that is there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would rather be personally happy without an ulcer
Yep.
and throwing up and working at Arby's. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Than being in a place where I'm like, I make this much, but I fucking hate everyone and myself.
Right.
you
Well,
know?
the good news is that Arby's roast beef has chemicals, so many chemicals, they fight the ulcers.
They do fight the ulcers. Can I be honest with you? They are ulcers.
They're just cow
are
ulcers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with all these cow ulcers?
Shave them thin and serve them to Midwesterners.
That's what you hear. I have an idea. Arby's, we've got the meats.
We have the ulcers.
We've got the
No.
ulcers.
Take two.
Oh, sorry.
Don't tell them we have ulcers.
Runner-up, samosas. Very good.
I got a quick one. Favorite friend who's spent some time with a very famous person. Favorite friend that spent some time with a very famous person.
I don't know that I
is my
can-
friend Lee Leshin. He hung out with Robert Downey Jr.
Wow.
I heard.
So that was fun.
I
Yeah, that was a highlight.
I hang
and
out
I
with
like
Chuck,
it
and the
because
the difference in fame is the same between Lee and Robert Downey Jr. as Brad and Chuck.
what I like about it
You
is
were the friend?
I'm Lee Leshin.
I got to tell Chuck about this, and Chuck like ate his own body when he heard it. He was, oh, you know what I
I
mean?
didn't. I didn't eat my own body.
Yeah.
Wait, I was happy for Lee.
I know. It's
Oh.
because you secretly want to be Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's no
no
secret.
secret.
That
about
is
that.
true. That is true.
It's funny because you were talking about like your year.
Yeah.
And the thing I should have tried long ago.
Yep.
And
I think I said samosas. I think I was clear on that.
it was funny because like I went to go do the personal categories yesterday because we have, you know, like let's say 6 of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, to remember everything, to remember the movies, everything we talked about, I had to go look at my year.
Right.
And I don't know if it's like just the fact that I'm continually scheduling things or something, but this year, it feels like January was 5 years ago. And it feels like the amount of change and things that have happened in my life in the past year is so extreme. And it's funny because as you guys both know, I've been dealing with these feelings of like, I don't know, these feelings of like discomfort recently and these feelings of like extreme like anxiety. And I'm like, does this have to do with how much my life has changed over the past year? Or I don't know. It's just really weird. But I looked at the last year. I'm like, I almost forgot that I had that spine surgery around the same time you did, a couple weeks beforehand. But yeah, it was right when I first moved to New York. I started deciding I wanted to lose weight.
Right.
And so I got into this thing. Then I fell into the spine surgery. And I realized, I'm like, right then is when the producer of Tuesdays with Stories quit and I had to take over full time.
Yeah.
And then all the other stuff started moving forward with the Birbiglia stuff and the Drew Barrymore opportunity that has come and gone. And then continuing the Tuesdays with Stories stuff in this way of like trying to build it, ending the Chuck and Brad podcast after 12 years, 13 years, whatever, and starting this new podcast, which was a monstrous undertaking in terms of the art and the filming for the announcement video, all the social media bullshit, figuring out the song, you guys traveling to New York for the first time, all this kind of stuff. And I mean, I think about the fact that at the beginning of the year, I didn't have any help working on stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Like, which is crazy. And
Yeah.
now I have all the people that help me out. But I was like, this year, in terms of like how my life has changed from last January 1st to this January 1st, is like outrageous.
Yeah.
It just put me in a weird place where I'm like, is this too much at once? Like what, like, you know, I'm trying to figure out why I've been feeling so anxious and so, you know, unhappy and stuff. But it really was strange.
Yeah.
But thing I should have tried long ago is just like basically working up the willpower to lose weight.
Yeah.
Like I did, and kind of being like, well, like last January when I was first in New York, I was like, I'm going to be here. I am just moving here, so I don't have a social life. And because I have this downtime, I'm going to spend this making this improvement on myself that's like been on my list for a long time.
Right.
So I started working on that.
You're like, I can't eat any more samosas. And I'm like, hey, Chuck.
You're like, hey, get any extra samosas?
Yes.
But for me, I guess it was just trying to like work up the willpower to be like, all right, I'm just going to figure out how to start losing weight.
Right.
That was my thing I should have tried long ago.
The thing I should have tried long ago, you know, it's less impactful, I guess. But it was Sergio Leone films. Should have tried
that's
those.
good. That's good.
Should have tried those long ago.
Yeah.
And of course, number one with a bullet is Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
There you go.
Should have tried that long ago as
Yeah, it's
well.
great.
Good.
I'll have my serious life moment in a minute.
Least pleasing development for the past year was my health, both physical and mental. It needed back surgery. Probably should have gotten my brain lobotomized at some point. Had some heart issues as well. Those appear to be fine, I guess.
Yeah, they're fine.
For the time being. You know, the cardiologist.
Chuck's like, yeah, they're fine. Like he's the doctor.
Yeah, the cardiologist was not concerned. He's like, I'll see you in 18 months.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Let's
pencil it.
Then I walked out and he's like, oh my, that poor guy. I hate lying to him, but it's easier.
Call the hospital.
Yeah, I just let somebody else
takes
Clean
out
up in the parking lot.
He takes out a life insurance policy on me.
Yeah. Look, either I tell him or the paramedic does in a couple of weeks.
Yes. So that was my least pleasing development. Just, you know, going through back surgeries. Not fun.
My least pleased development was actually almost identical because it was the leading up to the back surgery, all the pain and everything that I had to deal with and the worry and all that kind of stuff. But also just this weird new level of insecurity that I've been dealing with that has been growing and growing and growing. And it's really weird that like it seems like professionally in the past 14 months, things have gone really well. But like mentally, it's been like the opposite direction. And I'm trying to figure out what to do. So that's part of it.
Right.
That's a big least pleasing development. So very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. My least pleasing development is also similar. Mine is that my existential dread has continued beyond the quarantine.
Yep.
It has gotten bigger and worser.
Yeah.
It's not good. I'm really struggling with time continuing to pass and having a child that, you know, was 5
Yeah.
pre-pandemic and is 8 post-pandemic. And I don't I like my sense of time is gone.
Yeah.
Like looking back at this stuff, I'm like, was that 2022 or was that
Yeah.
I
like
know.
6 months into the quarantine?
I know.
I don't know. It's all gone. A parent, I was at my son's basketball practice, and a parent was like, "What grade is your son in?" And I went, "Oh, he's in 2nd grade." And she went, "This is for only 3rd and 4th graders." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're right. He's in 3rd grade."
Yep.
But it's not being like the stereotypical shitty dad,
Right.
Where I'm like, I don't know, he's 14. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
I'm 8.
Yeah, shut up. The problem is, this is his first year of school where he has gone for the full year.
Oh, yeah.
Kindergarten got shut off.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic. His entire 1st grade and most of 2nd grade was done online.
Yeah.
So it's baffling to me and
Yeah.
it's crazy. So that has unmoored me from a sense of like the timeline of my life.
Right.
And having things stop with comedy unmoored me again.
Right.
And now, I'm going to be 40 in a couple of weeks. Not cool to say that. Both internally and externally. I should not say it.
Yeah.
I'm a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
I'm dead now,
Yeah.
legally dead at the age of 40. Unless I wait long enough and at 55 come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, youth.
Yeah, exactly. So all of that stuff has like completely shattered any sense of like, I don't know, direction, what comes next, what I even want to come next, and like everything looks like an insurmountable thing.
Yeah.
I have felt like I have been secretly like I quiet quit my life. I feel like I quiet quit everything.
Okay.
That I stopped being a comedian even though I do comedy every
Yeah.
week. That I gave up on making a fun podcast even though I make a podcast every week.
Right.
Film project stuff, even though I still talk about it and write some things.
Yep.
So I do feel very, very strange. And being in a career path that has no path means that once you wander from whatever you laid out, you're fucked. You're lost. It's
Yep.
done. So the existential dread, yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's just constant, like, I want to just be like, all of this doesn't matter, right? Like, we're
Right.
like, I'm gonna die, you're gonna die, you're gonna die, you're gonna die.
Yep.
The people that will die. The people that remember you will die. No one will remember you. No one will remember this.
Right.
So why are you doing it?
Yep.
Maybe you should just go sit and be a rock on a cliff, right?
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
that kind of feeling.
Yep.
So that was all very negative. I didn't mean for that.
Now, what about most pleasing development? Is the next one.
Well, hold on. I got a couple minis.
Okay, good.
Most embarrassing thing.
Hmm.
Okay. Probably getting COVID at Legoland. So that was funny, right?
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
a fun.
that's
fun
good.
fact.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure if I did.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure. There's two
Yeah.
possible exposure points for when I had COVID.
Okay.
One was Legoland.
Yep.
But Kalina and Finn didn't get it for a little while after that.
Okay.
The other potential is my most therapy-inducing thing, which was my dad going to a show for the first time.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yep.
My estranged father coming to a comedy show.
Yep.
It was what you'd expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fun thing is, maybe he gave me COVID.
Okay.
So that's fun.
I mean, you start out your set with the any of you.
Anybody want to cough in my mouth?
Well, you start out any of you in the crowd, my estranged father, and for the first time it was.
Yeah, you heard. I'm over here. I'm over here.
You're like, oh, and you're thinking back to the flow chart you built for that bit, and you're like,
Yeah.
I didn't have
I
anything on
don't
the other
have this
side.
one.
I didn't have anything on the other side.
Yeah.
I got to do props now.
Yes.
Right?
I'm a Domino's delivery guy. I'll take it from here. It's the one Carrot Top joke I remember.
Most surprising thing after looking back at my photos for this list.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
For this list, I
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck happened this year?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I looked through my photo album on my phone, and that
Yep.
did help me with a couple of things. So
Oh,
I was
for
like,
sure.
oh, yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
I forgot that my favorite like live experience thing of the year was seeing the Play That Goes Wrong finally.
Oh yeah.
In
that's
New
right.
York,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Big fan of the Goes Wrong folks. Had a couple of them on Ray Harrington Must Content. Had not gotten to see the show. Finally got to see it in New York, and it is phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's great.
it's great.
But the most surprising thing, and this is where I take the darkness of the existential dread and try and make a little flicker of light within it. I was genuinely surprised, and I don't want this to sound too like self-aggrandizing or full of myself or anything like that. I'm going to try and find a balance between the Chuck and the Brad. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I want to do that. But the most surprising thing was how many, when I looked at the photos, how many like marquees and like theater signs and a few billboards and stuff like that that I was on this year. I know that's not an ego thing of like, look at me up there. It's more about my career, and it reminded me like, you're doing stuff.
Right.
Like you're working.
Right.
And I saw some photos of the billboard stuff. Like there was a billboard in Maine, there was a billboard here in Rhode Island for different shows that I was doing. I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, that happened. And then I saw when I was on a couple of times this year, the Gillette Stadium billboard. And it sounds stupid, and I don't want it to sound like a brag, but it did surprise me because I think I get too used to stuff and I get too focused on what's next and not with what just happened, that I had to step back for a second and go, hang on, like 2 or 3 year in, Ray would be fucking flabbergasted to see this. This would be the be all end all.
Right.
And you're just used to it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that's a positive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think I want to, for the next year, I want to try and focus on those positives and hold them a little more.
Yeah.
I think it's too easy in any business, whether it's a working a day job kind of thing, pursuing like production stuff and making film stuff or doing stand up. I think it's too easy to push aside the good
Yes,
quickly
exactly. Yeah.
because you're so busy worrying about the bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure, yeah.
So that was the thing that I had a realization today, finishing up the list.
I've been on some billboards too, but it's like Amber Alert, last seen with, and then it's my photo.
You told me they were silver alerts when we were driving by. Now I find out the truth.
I'm the missing one, I swear.
Yes.
You told me they were silver alerts, and you told me that you had a weird
Doppelganger.
alignment issue with your phone or with your car,
Yes.
and that's why there was knocking coming from the trunk. Sorry, it took a long way to
All
get
of that
around.
is true.
So fucking tired.
All of that
Are
is
you
true.
guys? Do you guys want to sleep like on here when we're done?
Sure.
I want to eat something, and then I want to sleep something. Most pleasing development.
That's like your "you up" text.
Yes.
I want to eat something and I want to sleep something.
Most pleasing development. Funbearable.
Yeah.
Most pleasing development for me, Funbearable is as my runner up. But interesting.
What the hell?
What a fucking undedicated shit bitch.
I'm not going to eat or sleep you.
Yeah,
But for me, I mean, and this is,
gonna puke you.
It's a weird thing, like coming up in this world of entertainment stuff in the past 10 years and how much it's changed. It's really become the Wild West, and you're kind of figuring out how to pivot. Like we were talking in the beginning about YouTube shows and all these different things and how you can do this. And as much work as I've done over the years with different groups of people, it's really hard to point to a thing and say, hey, I can like actually add this to like a resume and find like legitimacy in it. And one of them was coming to Normand and List and saying, hey, I'm here to help build the Patreon.
Yeah.
And then over the course of 18 months, I built it with them, coming up with ideas and, figuring this out and taking charge and building it so severely. And the numbers, you can actually see this growth. And I'm not saying it's just because of me, but it's because we teamed up. And so having that as a thing I can actually put as like a resume thing is a big different thing for me, as
Sure,
opposed
yeah,
to just
yeah.
like, well, I do a lot of stuff. I
do
don't know.
this, I do that, I do this, I do that.
Yeah, it's tough. This
Yeah.
is a really solid thing I can tell someone that is true and is verifiable and is a big thing.
Especially like I remember we had a whole conversation on Ray Harrington Must Content about like carving this path in like new media stuff. Bravo, 2022, man. That's really wonderful.
It's good and it's cool.
That would have been a good runner up.
And it's cool because it's also like as part of it, we finally got to put out a documentary of mine in public, which none of my documentary stuff is in public.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else ever thinks about it. I think about this all the time. Everything I do is behind a paywall.
Right.
So when someone's like, "What are the views on that?" I'm like, 3,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, but those people each paid $10 to see it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
But so
That's how I feel about my OnlyFans.
so it's like it's this thing where I don't have those numbers, but
I only have 3, but they pay a lot.
Yeah.
but to boost the
It's worth it.
to boost the Patreon, the Tuesdays Patreon, we decided to put out one of my documentaries in public, and it's like
Yeah.
approaching 250,000 views right now in over 2 weeks. So like now the Patreon and this thing that's part of it are two things that I can finally be like, this.
Yes.
Here's what I did.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, you know what I mean? Like that's good.
Yeah.
And like I said, Funbearable as well.
I love it.
Yeah.
My most pleasing development was it's kind of like a Venn diagram, right? It starts with something and then it ends with something. It was doing the last of Must Content.
Yep.
Isn't it fucking crazy that we had other podcasts
Yes.
at the beginning of 2022?
That's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. It's so all of it
It's
is bizarre.
wild, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was doing the end of Must Content because I felt like I was at a place where it wasn't new.
Right.
I was still doing it, but I looked back at what happened. I was like, what was 2022 Must Content? Because it feels like that was in 2017.
Yes.
And it was interviewing Bob Gale,
Yep.
the writer of Back to the Future, Pete and Pete from Pete and Pete.
Yeah.
And then having a couple of the Goes Wrong people on,
Yeah.
and a bunch of other people, and then obviously the stuff that was pre 2022. But like that was really special to me,
Yeah.
and
For
I'm
sure.
really happy with it. And then transitioning that over and starting Funbearable with you guys is wonderful. It feels like a growth thing. You know what I mean? It doesn't
sure.
feel like a lateral move, right?
sure.
Yeah.
Yet.
For sure.
But it's a really special thing, and I think it's telling that we all chose that in either a direct or a roundabout way.
Yeah.
And I think it's nice that we can all think of each other's feelings when we're writing these.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like listed as like the top most important thing.
Yeah. Oh, this podcast. Yeah. It's like when you do like being thankful on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You have to say the family. That's
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm also.
And
yes,
on Gertie.
On Gertie. On Patty. Good for you. Patty and Gertie hate each other.
Yeah. 2022 in 3 words. For me, it was. This is a weird category. It was just something I was thinking of, and I couldn't.
But you wrote it down. You
I know.
made it a category.
I couldn't get it into 3 words. But kind of January through May
That's
for
it.
me.
That's 3.
Yeah, you are way over words.
Because of my health and Chuck being gone. Isolation.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the first word.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
isolation is the first word. Second word, kind of June through September, confusion. And then October through the end of the year, breaking point.
Oh, I thought it was peace.
Ooh.
Breaking point.
Oh, I thought it
Breaking
was peace
point.
to your job.
No, it would be.
No,
it would
he's
be
putting the words together.
deuces.
It hyphenated.
Yeah.
Hyphenated. So then it's one word.
and so that was kind of like these distinct different things of not being able to go places or not being able to stay there for long. I felt like I was really struggling to connect at the theater where I do improv, and now I'm feeling more secure in those friendships and relationships. And I don't know, it was just a rough start to the year, and then just a lot of questions over the summer, and then really in October when it was, all right, my boss is gone. I know that I want to leave, and I hit my breaking point at work. That was kind of what it came down to for me. And so kind of spreading it out, looking at it that way, because I write down every week, I journal every week. And then of course transfer the salient points to a Google Doc to look at a year in review a little more quickly. And I was like, oh yeah, that's weird. Oh, that and seeing those things just really interesting.
But I don't want to sound like I'm talking down in any way or belittling or I don't know. There's another word, but I'm so tired. Condescending. Thank you so much. I'm so tired.
We're so close.
Condensation.
Yes.
I don't want to condensate.
Good.
To you.
Thank you.
I am so thrilled and happy and proud of you for doing that. Proud's weird, but like
I'm
that's
proud.
a big step. Yeah,
I'm proud.
I'm really happy.
Unabashedly proud.
Well, Chuck's my son, according to St. Anne's Hospital. So,
Well, I'm not going to get
sounds
deeply
weird.
into this,
Yeah.
but you quitting your job before your mental health to benefit your mental health is a positive thing, and it's this big.
yeah.
But
I think it's a catalyst.
Well, I was going to say you being able to stop a thing that is overall bad for yourself is this big.
Yeah.
And this is just a representation of it.
Brad, you
of
have
growth.
never ever used any of our safe words.
No.
You refuse to end something even if it's very bad for you.
Yeah.
Like this episode. What about you? What are your
I
three
forgot
words?
which state we were using.
My three words were
Denial.
wow, weird, and then I also have fun, bear, piss.
That's fun. I like those are all little like quotes on a movie poster. Wow. Weird. Fun. Bear. Piss. Right? That's fun. Piss.
Pierce.
Sum up last year in 3 words. Noticeable improvement, please. Yeah, I mean, if we're putting it out into the universe, right? I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, improvement. You know, I'd like to see some improvement. That would be nice. And I was thinking of it as if this was a genie, and I need it to be very clear, or like a monkey paw.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, because if I just say some improvement,
Yeah.
it could be the littlest, like you lost 1 pound of weight, Ray.
Yeah.
Good for you,
Yeah,
big boy, right?
Yeah.
Or like, oh, what about that? That show where they forgot and paid you twice. You know what I mean? That's an improvement. So I went noticeable improvement.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So the last thing is predictions for the next year, which I changed mine to hopeful goals for next year. But you can.
I did predictions. I don't know, more Fun Bears? Because
good.
I want the podcast to grow.
Yes, I want the podcast to grow as well.
I love our Fun Bears. I feel lucky to have a devoted group of fans who are all like, yes, we're Fun Bears. We're all on board with this nickname.
It's amazing. It's incredible.
And a subreddit and a fan created Facebook, like,
yeah.
I notice these things and I don't take them for granted, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I feel fortunate, and I just want to grow that community.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
My hopeful goals for next year. First one, figure out how to grow the podcast.
Wow.
Second one, because now I'm so far in bed with Tuesdays with Stories, is
Both literally and metaphorically.
feel like I belong.
Yep.
At Tuesdays with Stories, feel comfort there. You know, I have a lot of interpersonal feelings about myself that I want to improve in terms of like just feeling accepted and less rejection in general. I want to finish losing weight.
I like the idea of a finality to that. Of just like,
I'm zero.
I'm
zero.
Yeah, I'm done.
I've had a goal weight for a long time.
Oh, okay.
And at some point, my goal weight was to lose 75 pounds. But I slowly lost weight, and now it's like 25 pounds away.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm getting there.
Yeah, but I
I'm
like
on
the
my way.
idea of like finishing losing weight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no maintenance required once you get
I just
to that
picture
goal.
you like Daniel Plainview at the end of There Will Be Blood. It's you wiping vomit from your mouth, and you go, "I'm done. I lost it all."
Yep.
And my final thing, and it sucks because this is such a bummer, but above all else for hopeful goals is I want to find my mom a kidney this year,
Yeah.
which is sad.
No,
but it's true.
not. It's hopeful.
Yes.
and it's a legitimate thing.
Yeah.
Why don't you look down that camera and tell people?
Yeah.
Because they're all walking around with fucking 2 of these things.
I know. We're gonna start. We talked about this. We had an awkward talk where I was like, "Is this
An awkward
okay?"
talk?
And I said, "I'd love to start putting in the podcast like it's a little thing every week about my mom's looking for a kidney."
And Brad was like, "We can do it, but not every week."
"Yeah,
wasn't
that's
that
what he
fucked
said.
up?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But
I want to take over the cooking for Thanksgiving.
yeah, but my mom really needs a kidney. She goes to dialysis, and I want to get some really solid contact information because
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk to my parents about it, and they're like, I'm like, what should I do? I want to help spread the word, and they're happy, but they're like, tell them to talk to the hospital, and I'm like, that's way too vague.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like way too vague.
Yeah. Oh.
Hello,
Hospital? It's me, the guy with the kidney.
So
I don't know. Some bitch that needs a kidney. So sorry.
some dick on a podcast, his mom needs one.
Yeah, thank you. I should have done that. I shouldn't have called your mom a dick.
So yeah, I mean, right now, if you were like, man, I'd love to give her a kidney, right at funbearablepod@gmail.com, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna get a better way to communicate about it and give more information.
I like the idea if they do that and then they find out through the process that like it's not like a match. I don't know if they need like a blood match
They
or
do.
something. Oh, okay. So they find out it's not a match, but the person that reached out is like,
I really wanted that signed merch
"Are you
from Chuck.
sure you don't need the kid? I'll send it along."
Yeah.
Well,
Just
so
see
my
what you
dad
can do
a
with
package.
it. Yeah.
Well, here's something really interesting, real short. My dad is part of a program because he doesn't match my mom, and he can donate a kidney to someone in exchange for a kidney.
Yeah.
But here's the problem with it. He is like a universal donor. So his
so
kidney
he's-
is not in high demand because anyone can get a kidney like his. But my mom needs a specific one. I know that sounds really weird.
Wait, but no, because the specific one,
I know. I don't know. I don't
and
know.
if he's universal,
I know.
universal means he could give a kidney to your mom.
Well, I guess it's not 100%. Maybe he's the most universal you can be. It's something like, I'm not kidding.
Does your mom even need a kidney? This is all sounded really shady.
I'm not kidding.
No, I swear.
They
It's,
said that he's the one that's least in demand, essentially.
oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. It's really weird.
Yeah. I don't know.
I know.
Fucking kidneys.
So anyway,
Do,
we'll
do we
start
want to
pushing
3D print one?
it. I don't know how.
Hey, we'll talk to Corey.
Yeah, we can talk
Yeah.
to Corey.
I think we could do that. My hopeful prediction
Yep.
is to also grow tomatoes. I would like to do that.
Good thinking.
Remember we were
Do
talking
that.
about growing the podcast as a thing, as a misdirect.
Yeah.
And I was still in support. Did you hear what I said? You can do it.
You can do it.
If you put your mind to
I'm
it,
on
right?
Amazon ordering tomato seeds.
No, I would like to see the podcast grow as well. I really like what we're doing.
Yeah.
I really like the community that has developed. And it's also tricky because, I think we have a community that is, there's a portion that is vocal that jumps in on like the Facebook group, and
Yes,
the Reddits and stuff like that. But I know there's also a whole other tertiary group
Yeah.
that is just as on board, but they're like, oh, but I don't
Yeah.
talk on stuff because I'll get messages or something like
Right.
that. And I also think a lot of like the Ray Harrington Must content people came through. They were just like, well, I'm not
The
making
rabies,
that.
yeah.
The rabies, yeah. And they do what you do when you have rabies: isolate, keep away. You know what I mean?
Yes, are frightened of water.
Yeah. And so I would like to do that. I would love to come to a stable mental health place.
Me too.
Yeah. I don't. When I say stable, I don't mean like I'm standing on a bridge going, maybe I'll do this. And I don't mean that I'm like manic or anything like that.
Right.
But I would really like, it's the existential thing. I'd really like to get a handle on that.
Yeah.
And I guess be comfortable with the idea of entering 40dom. Maybe
Yeah.
you can help me. I can job shadow you for a day.
Yes, but you wake up and your hips hurt. Then
Right.
you,
Mine hurt for a different reason.
yeah. Then you walk around and your back hurts.
Yep. Got that.
That you're sad for no reason. You're tired for no reason.
You're killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of that can be labeled my child, though.
Okay. Yeah.
Like tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm
Phil, Punxsutawney Phil.
Fucking Phil, man. But yeah, I think that's a good aspect to really look at, and also I would love to find another project that consumes me.
Yeah.
It's been a little while, and that would be fun.
Yeah.
So that's it.
All right.
And I hope that everybody has a great full 2023.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
My other hopeful hope is that you, listener or viewer, forgive us for this long process. I think in some countries, technically what we've done here is torture.
Yes. Yes.
Sleep deprivation.
But the U.S. looks the other way.
Yeah, we are in the Guantanamo Bay of podcasts. Is what we are right now. This has been what's the clock on this?
2 hours 34 minutes.
Good Lord. And we did like, you know how you look at this episode, viewer or listener, and you see the time before you start listening, and you go, God damn, that's a long one. Like, okay, that's cool, but I mean, I'll split it up.
Right.
We did both of them.
Yep.
Now, I have lost sense of who I am.
We took a 10-minute break between recording, an hour
Had a
and
quick
46
cry.
minutes?
Yeah.
No, the first one was 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh, 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, the first one was 2 hours and 40
You
minutes.
said it was 100 and something minutes.
Yeah, that was 220 something. 100
Now, 140 is 2 hours.
And 20 minutes.
and 20 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
140
Yeah, sorry.
something.
Yeah.
That's
What?
right.
Now you're asking me to do math? This is torture.
About 2.5 hours on each.
Perfect.
God damn.
Hey, 2022 or 2022, as a lot of people called it,
Yeah.
was a big year, and we had a lot of stuff to talk
I
about.
always called it 2022.
I mean, a lot of people called it 2022.
When you say 20, how do you say it?
Now I'm really focused.
Yeah.
20.
2022?
10 plus 10 is
20.
20.
Here's the weird thing. Somebody gave me shit about saying 20 once.
No T?
No, it's because technically, if you look at how we say it, if you spelled out what you were hearing,
Right.
it would be TWUNNY. 20.
20.
20.
20.
Ooh, yeah.
The 20 rabbit.
20.
Oh, yeah,
20
that's
rabbit.
20.
20.
20.
20.
www.2022.com.
All right, we
we're all
have lost
good.
our minds.
No more. Let's do it. Third episode. Here we go.
You can close
This one's about when we lost our fucking minds. And this one's about puberty. Here we go. First day you were aware that your penis went somewhere.
What? I don't. What do you mean it went somewhere?
Like to do sex, it goes in a thing.
I'm completely lost. Thank you all for sticking around with us. Send us an email, funbearablepod@gmail.com, or find us on socials @funbearablepod. For
Pre-puberty, I thought a woman's vagina was another belly button, just lower.
he's not wrong, then or now. For Ray Harrington and Chuck Staten, I'm Brad Rohr saying thank you so much for sticking around, and we're sorry for being Funbearable. So how do they pee if it's a belly button?